The following program contains adult language and juvenile conversations. Listener discretion is advised.
Happy birthday to the world's most beautiful front woman, Miss Matrix. I love you, kid. Thanks for making us better. Thanks for making me look better. And thanks for tearing it up in everything you do. Happy birthday. Now welcome to Trick or Treat Radio.
Welcome all you little zombies. You are listening to Trick or Treat Radio, starring the Deadites.
Welcome to episode 322 of Trick or Treat Radio. Trick or Treat Radio is a phantasmagorical spin kick straight through the heart of pop culture, navigated by the Deadites. The Deadites are the world's greatest electroshock band. We destroy monsters, we drink booze, we win championship belts, and we also are joined by two amazing guests this week. We'll get to them in just one quick moment. Let's quickly talk about what we're doing tonight so we can jump into things. So tonight we're going to be talking about the film Ghost Stories, the British horror film that came out a few months ago, just at DVD and Blu-ray a couple weeks back. We'll be talking about that. And then also, as I mentioned, we got two guests, so that's going to take up most of our time there. So we don't have anything planned for the last segment. But if you guys want to get in any last-second voice messages to talk about any of the films that we've talked about recently, whether it be Mandy, Ghost Stories, tonight's film, anything like that, or if you want to talk about anything, just send a voice message or an email to podcast@trickortreatradio.com. Now, let's go ahead and bring in our guests. First, we are joined by our good buddy. He hasn't been on the show in quite a little bit here, actually. He's one of the five Haas men, and that is our good friend from the Talk Without Rhythm podcast, El Goro.
What is going on, folks?
What's up, buddy? How's it going, man?
That's pretty good, pretty good. It's been, like you said, it's been a little bit, but looking forward to talking about some movies with you guys.
It's funny because I talk to you on a daily basis, so I'm like, so it's weird to think that, like, hey, it's been a while since we've actually had you on because I talk to you all the time.
Yeah, I think that's exactly where it rolls down to. There's not a day that goes by that we're not talking with each other, so.
And quite frankly, I'm getting tired of it.
Whoa.
Hey, there it is.
Didn't take long.
Yeah. Getting better at that, man. I mean, it feels like puberty is finally finding you, and you almost got a man's voice, so you're almost there, buddy.
I strive to achieve to be as good as you, Goro.
That's good, man. That's good. You can be one of my disciples. I will let you in. The initiation is a little harsh, but I think you can go through it, man. I believe in you.
Thank you, Master. Thank you.
Wow.
That's going to be my new ringtone right there, MZ6. Thank you, Master.
So we have...
Timestamp.
Yeah. We have El Goro. We'll jump into what's going on with Talk Without Rhythm a little bit later. I want to get our other guest here introduced and into the conversation. And we are also joined from outside the cinema and also one of the directors of the cult film documentary Survival of the Film Freaks. We're now joined by Bill Byforce.
I would hope that you would start introducing me as award-winning filmmaker, Bill Force. Thank you.
Boy, this is really going to his head, isn't it?
He wants a new ringtone, too.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, and it's definitely not Monster Zero saying, I already forgot what he said, so.
We all forget what he says on a weekly basis.
He forgets what he says sometime mid-sentence.
It's true. So, since we have both El Goro and Bill here, why don't we jump in, Bill? You have some sort of timely, pertinent news. So why don't we get to that first? Because I want to make sure that people hear about Survival of the Film Freaks. So you guys did win an award. Tell folks about that award.
Since we last spoke, which actually it wasn't even that long ago. It was only on the show like maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago.
Yeah,
but,
like a month or two. Yeah.
So we've been busy, man. We did the world premiere at Horror Hound, which was amazing. Met tons of really good people. We were nominated for Best Feature, which is amazing. We lost, but we lost to the new. We lost to Cold Creek Manor, which is produced by Joe Dante. So I can't really can't get too mad about that. No. But that event was great. The turnout was awesome. People really seemed to like it. I get to sign a bunch of autographs, which made me feel very special. for about 5 minutes, and then then it passed. But yeah, so we did the world premiere, and then we were told that we were nominated at the Undue Divergent Film Awards, it's a first-year festival and award ceremony that they did out in Arlington, Mass, at the Capitol Theater, which is a awesome old-ass theater that's been there since the dawn of time. My parents actually, when they were dating, that was the theater that they went to. So
Nice.
my mom was, and the quote was, tickled that my movie would be shown there. So, and we won both awards. We won Best Documentary and we won Best Film, which was surprising to say the
Amazing.
least.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
That's super great, man.
yeah. So it was kind of nice to kind of get that recognition from people that weren't like our friends and our family. Not that our friends and family's opinions don't matter, but it's
Yeah.
like, most of the time you support your friends and family regardless of whatever junk project they're doing. I mean,
Right.
I've done so many crappy bands in my lifetime and had people tell me, no, it's awesome, and I'm like, no, really, no, it's fucking terrible. Like, I get it, but to have people that we didn't know and didn't know us and didn't know anything about us that picked our movie out of those, it was a really validating kind of feeling to be like, okay, the movie is good. It's it's as good as we think it is, and other people are seeing and recognizing that. So we did our job, which is awesome.
I'm so happy me being in it hasn't ruined it and had people throw tomatoes at you and stuff.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Let's see, Arlie.
Yeah, it's only played in a couple places so far, so give it time.
Cut me out, you would have
Give it time.
Dante,
We
that's
got
for
plenty of
sure.
time to ruin it. If we wanted you to ruin it, we'll just have you just start showing up to the screenings.
Well, funny that you say that.
So yeah, and since then we've gotten added to a whole bunch of festivals. Not most, but a chunk of which we haven't publicly announced. So obviously, I always like to give you guys the first scoop on a lot of this stuff. So
First dibs.
first dibs, man. First and foremost, we have Shauna Shea coming up next weekend on Saturday, October 6th. We'll be playing at 5 o'clock with the final feature, I think, of the festival.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
At Starlight down in Southbridge, and then that's followed up by their award ceremony and their party afterwards, which I'm really psyched about. So that's the official New England premiere. So it played at the Divergent Film Awards, but we couldn't announce that it was playing because they only played the winners, and we couldn't announce that we'd won. It was kind of a pain in the butt setup to be like,
Yeah.
you guys need to, but like can't tell anyone that you won the award. But I'm like, well, the schedule says you're only screening the winners.
right.
So
right.
what are we supposed to do? And they're like, I don't know. So yeah, it was a bizarre situation. But so yeah, Shauna Shea is coming up. The weekend after that is obviously the Rock and Chalk weekend, which will be set up directly next to your table again.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be good times.
Yeah,
I can't
that'll
wait
be
for
fun.
Down Boys to have the crew back together. For the
Absolutely,
first
baby.
time.
Getting the band back together.
Year. I can't wait, man. No, I'm actually really excited because we had such a good time last year. We got a whole
Yeah.
bunch of new merch. For all you wrestling fans, we have Bullet Club Film Freak rip-off shirts and tote bags. Because apparently every time I wear a Bullet Club shirt, Mars just calls me a mark. So
That's not me.
that's you. Oh, dude, when you were here and I walked out wearing my Kenny Omega shirt, you go, look at this mark.
I don't think that was me.
I think it was.
Definitely you, because Jesse didn't show up till 2.5 hours later.
That's fair.
But he did show up.
That's true.
Yeah, guys.
Listen, I said I couldn't make it, but I'm coming to the Rumble, and I'm coming to Rock and Shock
So
to see
you
you,
ready?
Bill.
So you're coming in January, but you're gonna miss all the times we hang out in between then and there.
I'm going to Rock and Shock.
What
But
about
he'll be at Rock and Shock. That's all that matters for right now.
you're not gonna come see Survival of Film Freaks featuring me and Wolfie?
What time is it?
He just said.
No, 5 o'clock? Yeah, I can do
5
5 o'clock.
o'clock.
That's the latest I can see a movie. Otherwise, I
That's
become
the
narcoleptic.
latest?
Yeah.
The
What are you,
latest.
religious or something?
You watch movies for the show at like fucking 2 a.m.
Well, I can't at home.
How
because
How many ounces of Bud Light do I need to buy you to get you there?
All right, listen, like, a half rack would be good. But
Not. Well, that's 35 cents. He could probably buy some good beer with the rest of that money.
yeah, sell you a little award.
Yeah. Narcoleptic. Are you implying that you have sex with dead people?
That's not what it means, I don't think.
That's not right.
I don't think so. But
That's
no,
not right at all.
I get tired when I'm in a chair in his darkness.
Wow, you really took out a lot of letters in there. and
I get
still
tired
managed-
when I'm
Still
What
managed
the
to like.
fuck?
Yeah, like that
What
was
did
like
you say?
that was like really impressive because I knew what the words you said were, but there was like maybe 40% of the letters were missing.
You don't need all the
Yeah.
letters.
I get tie
I get tired
in the shy.
and the sound and
Yeah, that's the thing with the word
Zero,
game.
zero R's. He usually says extra R's, and now he took out all
Well,
the
he
R's.
ran out.
Right? Oh, yeah.
He's got to go and pick up a few more R's down at the
Yeah.
store later on.
Ding. Hey, speaking of the Shauna Shea Film Festival, and speaking of Bill by Force, Bill, you have something cool going on the 12th of Rocket Shock weekend.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm gonna be at least co-hosting the big masquerade ball at the not the Lucky Dog, but the Cove.
It's true. You'll be surprised. You know, it's funny that you say that, but you'll be surprised. Like if I blindfolded you, I don't think you'd know it was necessarily know it was the same room.
I'm gonna hold you to that.
Yeah, they
The
did
blind-
Yeah, you get a blindfold him.
Well, don't worry, that'll happen anyway.
Ooh.
But you know,
I'm actually really psyched about that because now, like this year, like since I did it with Chris from OTC, 3-4 years ago, and just I think we didn't really know what to do or what to expect. But I got a plan this time. I'm gonna do some giveaways. I'm gonna give
Nice.
some prizes and have some fun stuff. And having Jimmy from Cinema Therapy, Speedy B in there,
it's gonna be great.
is gonna be awesome, man. It's gonna be a really good time. So
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it.
I can't wait. But you're not going to be alone. You're going to have two other heads, and I'm going to tell you one of them right now. You guys ready?
Oh my God.
No,
Oh my
I'm
God.
excited. I already know the answer to it, I think, but I'm still excited.
One of them, ladies and gentlemen, Skip Shea will be joining
Yeah.
Bill by Force on stage.
Speaking of the Shauna
Yeah,
Shea
and
Film Festival,
He's going to be excited because his shoulders won't hurt as much because he's not going to have to carry around Bill like he did Raven Shadow.
I'm very light. I'm very light. Ask Aries.
That's very true. He is light.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just think of it. All you have to do is get on stage between every break, and you've already beaten Raven Shadow.
Right.
Listen, I was
Yeah.
on pretty
True.
much out on the stage for most of the breaks.
pretty much.
Pretty
There's
much.
on 2 different occasions, guys. Skip came up to him and, hey Mike, where's Raven Shadow? And he'd be like outside having his own show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on time most of the time.
So yeah.
He
In
hold-
Raven
hold
Shadow's
it court.
defense, though, I feel like carrying him around would be like having a nice mink coat over your shoulders.
It'd be like your auntie's mink coat that smokes
Yeah.
too much, though.
Yeah, it really old smells like cigarettes and Vicodin.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah,
It looks like a Merkin, actually.
Wow, it's starting to sound like Alkaline Trio Mad Libs until you brought up Merkin. But
Yeah, Goro
so,
can swear me.
so it's going to be super. I'm super excited, and I can't wait for it to happen. We've had a string of phenomenal hosts over the last bunch of years. Not the least of which is the amazing El Goro, who's on the line as well. So
God bless
Thanks,
them.
man.
Yeah, Goro hosted, was it 2 years ago now?
yeah, Goro.
Yeah, I
hosted,
think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goro
that was
hosted that fucking weird one that like nobody came. Like it was really strange.
Because I hosted.
No, I don't think that's why. I'm not sure. I
awesome. I think that's probably why people did show in the
right.
first place.
Yeah,
is
like,
'cause
I, think
of
you
you.
were the, I think you were the only draw, but like it was really. I was like that whole next year. I was holding my breath because I just thought we hit that wall that people just didn't give a fuck anymore. Then then I don't know, nothing like almost dying to get people interested in coming to see you again. So that worked out good for me.
Should I cut something off this
Yeah.
year? Like, what don't you need?
That's
You're just going to have to start making up weirder and weirder illnesses.
Yeah.
as if cutting off my marriage isn't enough. I'm not sure what else you people want from
He's
me.
going to be looking through medical dictionaries just to see what he can figure out.
So I know what I know what I can live without in 2018. So.
It's the Dynamo
Cut off
Has
his feet.
Leprosy tour.
Cut off his feet and put him in a wheelchair.
I don't think this will play, but every time somebody says leprosy, I have to say it. I think I told you guys in the chat right when it happened. At my old job, I used to have an assistant, and she was awesome. But she was very beautiful, but she was 21, so she
Nice.
didn't know. She didn't know the things that we know because she's not old. And she was doing something, and she was peeling from a tan. And she goes, "Look at my face," and it was all peely. And I said, "It looks like you have leprosy." And she said, "What's leprosy?"
You
Yeah.
said leprosy,
Yeah.
and she didn't understand
Nope.
what you said.
She said, "What's leprosy?" And I said, "The lead singer of the Smiths." And she said, "I hate it when you make literary references."
And
Well,
where's
see,
she
the
now?
remarkable thing is that she just assumed you were mispronouncing the word.
Right. Well, what's remarkable is that she said literary. Really, at the end of the day, that's.
There you go.
That sounds like your type of
Millennials.
girl.
Oh man, I loved her so much.
Yeah, see,
I
I
still
knew it.
love her.
I knew it.
Yeah. I still love her.
Jesus. All right.
I'm sorry.
It's getting a little creepy.
Yeah, it is a
I haven't
lot.
heard you talk that longingly about somebody since Coop.
Wow, Coop.
Young, dumb, and full of leprosacy.
That
Sounds
needs to
like
be
a
a shirt.
black metal band.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Coop.
You see that?
Cradle of the piracy.
Hello, lucky dog.
Coop and I
my,
can't be.
my mind goes
From
every
the
time. I hear
darkened woods of a Scandinavian forest comes Minotaur's leprosy.
We are young, dumb, and full of leprosy.
We're at the point now where like Coop's so jacked, he's just gonna have to wear sunglasses to stand behind me. We won't even be like a real like tag team anymore. He's just gonna be my muscle.
Seriously, man. Coop looks like a friggin' reject from like the extras of Cobra now. Like
Right.
he's jacked.
I say Raven every time I see him online. I say a Raven shout. I ask him when he got out.
Yeah, see?
That's only because me and Goro we're not as gratuitous with our posing shots.
Ooh, you should be.
Well, to be fair, he's much more attractive than I. So
Don't sell yourself short. Come on.
Yeah,
You're,
Johnny,
you're a handsome guy.
Where are your videos, Johnny?
He's not much more, but hey, I have you know that there's an audience for like the me and Jacobs of the world, so don't worry about that. we, you know,
the bear audience.
yeah, like we send pictures to each other where we have like where we're watching movies or eating delicious chicken. Like those are our our sexy pictures.
All right.
Yeah. So. Though
I've heard that definition before.
well, hey, no, I may not be lifting a lot of weights, but I'm losing a lot of weight. So pretty soon, I got new shoes on.
It's good news, man.
Yeah, I got shiny new shoes on for stage. I'm breaking them in tonight. I got a new
Nice.
vest. I got a new vest to wear, and I got a new furry scarf to wear on stage. Like it's gonna be nice. Girls will like it. They won't know boys will like it. They won't know who I am. Everybody's gonna like it. I was debating tonight
I'm not
on the
gonna like it.
No, you'll hate it. I was debating tonight on the show just wearing my vest like Chris Jericho and not wearing a shirt, but
Oh, you made a really good decision by wearing that
yeah,
shirt.
so it's a nice AR ring shirt. I thought you guys would like it. So yeah.
So what else, Bill? Is there anything else? Any other announcements about Survival of the Film Freaks?
Oh yeah, that's what we were talking
I'd
about.
rather
right?
hear about that than Mars not wearing shirts.
I'll take it off right now.
Go for it.
I've got Survival of Film Freaks tattooed across my chest like a gang
That's
tattoo.
too bad.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, weekend after Rock and Shock, the weekend of the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st, we are playing at the Sin City Horror Fest in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh.
And I will be there for that. Kyle will not be making that trip, so if anyone wants to come with me so I don't have to go to Vegas by myself and look like a fucking loser.
Are
that'd
you
be
buying?
Yeah, wait, when?
Yeah.
When are you going?
Yeah, just meet me at Logan Airport, Aries, and I'll be on the flight that left 2 hours ago.
Damn it. Now, when you go there, we'd be like, yeah, I'm the sole director. Like, I'm the one guy.
Yeah.
Just me, nobody else.
Yeah,
Nobody else.
Survivor.
Yeah, I made the movie.
No, it's gonna be rad though because it's playing at the Palms. The whole thing is
Oh,
at the
nice.
Palms, which is I'm pretty excited because they filmed the Real World there. So, all right.
Yeah.
The one with Miz?
No, that was in San
No,
Francisco.
I don't think it was.
Oh.
Yeah. What's funny is that that same weekend, Monster Zero is going to be enjoying the Palms.
I enjoy my
Which-
palm every day.
Yeah.
He doesn't need the weekend for it.
No.
Who was
Nope.
it that named?
Just a couple minutes.
Everybody's Birkin for the weekend.
Who was it that named their cock odds? Was it MZ? Or did we name it for him so he can beat the odds all the time? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Mars Dick is named Cancer. We know that.
Yeah, that's right. Mars's cock's name's Cancer. Everyone needs a name now
Yeah, well,
because Mars beats Cancer all the time.
yeah, Corny wins though,
Why? What's his?
because I named his Cocklossus.
Yeah, but that's not funny. He beats Cocklossus.
Yeah, but
That's
it's
not-
fucking terrifying. Is what it is.
Yeah, it's not a dick, it's a battle station.
Right.
Sounds vaguely racist to me.
Yeah, it's
actually.
very racist. You guys have never seen his.
You don't
his
know what
thing.
I've seen. I was on a podcast with him last night. You know what we did?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you haven't seen his thing.
How do you know? You don't know. You don't know, really. At the
Let's
end of the
ask
day-
him.
Yeah, that's why he has that big TV when he does
We
his
can
own
probably
pornos.
get him on the line right now.
Yeah, he won't tell, but he knows.
He is in the chat room, so he can
Right.
say.
Yeah.
It's true.
Oh, Corny wants to know. Actually, he is in the chat room, and he says, "Is that the original Survival of the Film Freaks?"
Oh.
No, I heard that they had some production problems, a couple lawsuits, and
Like-
I believe the project has been abandoned.
Oh, that's too bad.
It is. So that's we're in Vegas that weekend. The weekend after that, we are playing at Cinema Salem. So the Saturday before, this is actually the one that I really want to push because Saturday before Halloween, Salem, Mass, Cinema Salem, we are screening as part of the Witch City Horror Film Festival.
Oh yeah.
So if anyone's heading out to Salem for Halloween weekend, there's an awesome horror movie festival going on in the middle of that. And despite not being a full horror movie, we are playing as part of it. And that's Saturday, October 27th. I don't have the exact time of that screening yet, but I believe it's like sometime later in the afternoon.
Cinema Salem's fucking with our entire month because they have awesome stuff going on, and we've already
it's crazy.
And we've
It's crazy.
already planned out like a bunch of awesome stuff for the month. So like I don't think I can go. Like there's going to be I don't know if it's Cinema Salem, but our buddies at Mixtape Massacre are actually going to be in Salem.
Yeah, they're working with the Salem. There's two horror festival things going on. There's one, it's like the Salem Horror Festival, and then there's the other one that we're taking part in, which is the Witch City Horror Festival.
Oh, okay.
But basically, there's stuff literally at Salem and Salem all month.
Yeah, there's a lot of really awesome stuff going on. So, and our friends over at the Faculty of Horror are going to be back again this year doing some stuff there at Cinema Salem. Rocket Shock weekend, unfortunately, so we won't be able to go. But
yeah, that's how it usually works out.
Yep.
So, but if you can't make it to Salem or you don't live in Massachusetts, that same weekend we're playing as part of the New York City World Film Market, and that takes place October 20. It ends the 31st, and I think it starts like the 27th. So, and that takes place all over New York.
Nice.
We don't know our exact screening place yet, but I know it's either in Manhattan or Brooklyn. So we're screening as part of that. And then we also have Another Hole in Your Head in San Francisco at the end of November. And then we're also playing in Atlanta as part of the Buried Alive Film Festival. So we've got a ton of stuff coming up.
whew, you guys are fucking busy.
Yeah, seriously, man. Like, it's awesome. It's
absolutely.
I'm so floored by the response that we've gotten so far. And obviously, you know, this is like a super homegrown project that Kyle and I just kind of started, and we're like, well, fuck it, we'll just make this documentary. And it's, you know, it's already succeeded far beyond my expectations. So I'm really fucking excited that people are enjoying it. We know now with the you know, we're getting the wheels rolling, and we're going to be able to get it to people all over the country, and, you know, hopefully have a world, well, maybe not a worldwide distribution, but have distribution for it hopefully by the end of the year, so we can get it out there streaming. We're really hoping to get it on one of the major streaming services first, and do some type of like exclusive run, like, you know, like a Shudder or like something like that, where we can get it into the hands of the fans, of the people that like we made this movie for, because, you know, it's a fan driven project, and everyone we know that's seen it, that's like everyone picks out those specific clips. They're like, oh my God, I remember this movie, and oh my God, I remember this, and oh, I remember watching that on cable. And so like we feel like a service like that is really going to be the best home for it to start off. And that's also one of the quickest ways where we can get it to people. We don't have to wait through like, you know, 6-7 months of getting the lawyers together and this and that. And we just want people to see it. So we're hoping to get something like that together at the end of the year. We're going to be in LA after San Francisco, so hopefully we'll be able to get some meetings and get some stuff together. So yeah, super psyched.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
But I want to thank you guys especially, because you guys have been so supportive, as, you know, number one, being part of the movie, and just always mentioning and making sure that people know about it. You said, like, I said a lot of really nice stuff after you got the chance to see it, which is awesome. So specifically, we also want to thank Monster Zero for being the single holdout and waiting his turn to have the sun to shine.
I will be seeing it. Don't you worry about it. I will be there. I will.
You're not going to tell me which one, though.
No, I'm not. I'm going to completely surprise you and maybe even scare you a little bit.
You know what we'll do is we'll just bring it to Rock and Shock, and we'll just give you a pair of headphones and the laptop.
There you go. Gora, were you going to say something a moment ago?
Yeah, I was just going to ask Bill when it was going to be available for people that can't make it out to festivals like myself, because I'm definitely very stoked to see the documentary.
I mean, obviously we can get Al Goro to see it if we need to. That's not an issue. But
for the rest of the people out there.
Yeah, we're really hoping early next year is probably the safest bet in terms of like getting some type of distribution deal. Like, I've been working a bit with Carando. He's been a huge help of it, and he knows a lot of people and is, you know, helping us get in touch with people in the right places, and just getting the name out there and just the fact, the winning a couple awards and getting nominated for a couple awards and stuff. It doesn't take long for people to start to like notice when something's getting some wheels, and we're popping up in different festivals and festivals that we don't know anyone at, which is like the even like, I feel like is the more, I don't know if impressive is the word, because I don't really know a lot about the film festival world, but I feel like a lot of it is like who you know and like, helping people get you into things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But these like festivals that Kyle and I don't know, we don't know anybody, so it's the type of thing where it's good and it shows like that the film, carries its own merits. It's not who was behind the camera or who's, making the phone call. So it's good. But yeah, I would say Goro, I'd say early next year.
Cool, man.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm hoping that you guys are able to secure something, especially like you said, a streaming service would be fucking great, because then everyone can see it, and that's sort of, without giving too much away about the movie, I think that's actually probably like the best platform for it. Obviously, if you guys could do like a VHS release down the road too, like that would be fucking great. But
oh yeah. We figure we'll do some type of physical release where we're talking about doing like a limited vinyl run for the soundtrack and a lot of big ideas. But all of this, like unlike podcasting where like we record our shows and then we put them online, like later that day or like the next day or whatever, like we're in control of getting our media out there. Like, but with this stuff, like everything takes forever. It's like you can announce something and it can still be like almost a year before you can actually make that happen.
Right.
So
right.
Doesn't
it's
it?
kind of it's frustrating because I'm not used to that. I'm used to like recording my own shit, but
Yeah.
upload. I don't care. I don't care if it skips. That's fine. Whatever.
Like I was just talking to someone the other day who was constantly asking me about something they kind of found out I was doing by accident. And like what a lot of people don't understand that do things is that, or that don't do things, is that it takes a fucking long time, like for the stuff, all the ducks to be in order for shit to come out and drop, and then sometimes when it's done, it's not the right time. Like, it's just so crazy. Like you make something and it's done and you love it, and then sometimes you gotta like live with it for like 2 or 3 years before it's out in the real world.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's frustrating.
Yeah, I was talking to a film director of mine, or a film director buddy of mine, and he's had a project that's been sitting since I think 2011, 2010, and it's only recently going to be seeing release sometime later this year.
Wow.
It's insane, and it feels like such a holdover from an antiquated time. I mean, we talk about our podcasts and our control of our media, but so much of the media that people are consuming is in that form. And so when you look at these ones, you just wonder why the traditional media providers can't get their shit together.
It blows my mind, man, because like think about how many, even just a few years ago, like how long we had to wait to see foreign horror films. Like we had to wait to see the original version of Wreck for like 4 years,
Right.
At least through like a legitimate means, because Sony decided they wanted to make Quarantine, so America doesn't get to see Wreck unless you caught it at a festival before they bought it. So it's like it's just like the film just sits there, and that's why I think the documentary is important, because we discuss a lot of that stuff of like, there shouldn't be a holdup. Like, I mean, I could get this movie to every single person that wants to see it tonight if I wanted to,
Yeah,
but,
I mean, you could conceivably load it up on Vimeo and just say, boom, it's out there.
Yeah,
but
anyone
you'd
wants
be
to see
screwing yourself doing it, though.
Yeah, because it's like that's the thing too. When we talk about how like the media is still it's still a product, still a commodity. You need to like. We want to make our next movie. We can't make our next movie. We just give away our movie to everybody. As much as I would love to upload it and give it to everybody tonight. But it's like we want to make another one, so we need to find a way to generate the money to be able to make the next one. So it's tough, man. It's because this world is it's there's so many amazing things about the digital world and how we can get stuff out to people. But at the same time, it's like you're handcuffed in certain ways, and then you make one wrong mistake and you can just totally shoot yourself in the foot. So you got to be careful, right?
And there's also the stuff that you do that you're almost sacrificing, right? Like I would think that in a way that you are lucky, even though it's a different scale, that you like working with Kyle, there's some mistakes or not even mistakes, or some stuff that he might know that are pitfalls that you aren't going to fall into.
Right, exactly.
Like we I can only speak for us, but I definitely feel like we threw our last album into space because it just wasn't time yet. We didn't know how to make people, we come from, it's just like you, Bill, we come from an era of, advertising was hanging things on telephone poles. You
Yep.
know, so
We still kind of do that, don't you? Didn't you do some of that, Mars?
I don't want to talk about it.
MZ, why does your shirt say Cannon? Oh no, sorry, that was just your belly sticking.
Oh, fuck you.
Oh, wow.
Ouch.
Oh,
He's been working
it
out.
hurts.
He hasn't been working out.
Yeah, but it's not working out.
No, I haven't been working out, but
See?
I haven't. But one thing I haven't done is that I haven't had soda.
Oh, good for you.
I haven't had a drop of soda in today actually makes 6 weeks.
Wow.
Oh, I see. You conveniently took the label off of this, so I can't see how much shit is in it.
Yeah, well,
That's not good for you.
That's almost as bad for you.
maybe worse.
you don't even know what's in it.
Uh,
It could be diet for all we know.
and
Which
that-
is just as bad
which
for
is
you.
worse.
Worse.
Yeah.
Diet is worse.
Diet soda is worse. Diet anything is worse
Oh,
typically.
jeez. Just shut up and do the show.
You don't. Monsters
You
You
know,
gotta
this is
bust my
your
balls.
intervention.
Why? Why do you always gotta bust my balls? I'm not drinking soda.
'Cause they're huge and
Continuously
weird looking.
bust my balls. I could be watching. You know what? I think I'll drink this instead. Huh?
Yeah, there you
Better
go.
than soda.
when I have been drinking soda, I've been drinking like real life sugar. So I'm trying to get rid of the diet stuff. But well, I mean, I guess this water here is essentially soda, but at the end of the day,
Essentially, the
whatever.
only thing you can drink that's good for you is water. Everything else is bad for you.
And I believe me, I drink a ton of water. I drink a shitload of water.
I doubt it.
No, you doubt it?
Don't bust this.
Let me
balls.
tell you,
they're big and
You
weird.
doubt it.
you,
He
you,
doubts it.
you want something that'll get you to drink water? Get a kidney stone.
Oh, God, yeah.
Ah, where can I get one of them?
Ever since I had a kidney stone, I drink like 2 liters of water a day because I'm so afraid it'll happen again.
That sucks.
It's true, man.
I'm just picking on you, Monster Zero, because I don't want you to die.
No, I have no intentions of dying anytime soon.
Well,
No
At least
intention.
not.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Monster Zero,
If you were gonna die,
I want
soon,
you
I'd
to
be
live
pissed.
forever and
thanks,
survive
dude.
a long time.
Thanks. You too, pal.
What Scouts Honor? This isn't how you do Scouts Honor?
No.
Oh, sorry. No, here you go. I want you to live
Almost had
forever.
it. There you go.
Yeah, I
Well,
want you to be
That's
like-
not even it either. It's 3 fingers.
I want you to be like.
Oh, he wants 3 fingers.
Yeah, I'll give you 3 of those.
Oh.
I want you to be like Fame, Monster Zero, like like Coco.
Coco.
Yeah.
No,
I want
I've been
you to-
drinking a shitload of water.
Like Cha Cha.
No.
I drink at lunch. I drink.
You
2
drinked
bottles
it?
I did not
He
say
fucking
drinked. Don't
he
even
fucking
go
drank
there.
his vocabulary into it.
I
Fucking
drink
tizzy.
for lunch. I drink 2 bottles of water for lunch every day.
Wow, that's a boring Sublime song.
Early in the morning.
I drink 2 waters in the morning. I drink 2 waters at night. I have some trouble sleeping because I have to pee all night.
Yeah, tell me about it.
You
man.
can't rhyme night with night.
I don't know. I thought I can.
Out of sight.
Yeah,
I mean, that does really feel like a Sublime move.
yeah.
Yeah, it's true. All right, fair.
I don't practice Coca-Cola.
If you can rhyme titties with titties.
All right, so anything else, Bill? I feel like we keep getting derailed.
No, I think that's the whole shebang there, man. Yeah, we're gonna have a busy couple months, so
Yeah.
we're like, excited for people to see this.
So if anyone out there happens to go to a festival or a screening where Survival of the Film Freaks is playing and Bill is there, go say hello and tell them you heard him here, and definitely try to get out and see it because it's a great film and you don't want to see it for me and Mars, you want to see it for all the other awesome people. So
You don't. You don't want to see the part where I almost cried because I admit I'm a fucking thief. You don't want to see that part. You don't want to see Raven Shout's phone go off.
whose phone was that?
Some assholes. Look at Monster Zero's balls.
Turn your fucking phone off. We're
My
gonna
phone
throw
was
it.
off. It would be nice. You bully. Don't phone shame me.
I'm not phone shaming
You
you.
are. You belly
He's
shaming
calling
Monster
you
Zero.
out.
In reality, he could phone shame you, though.
Yeah,
I think
we
any of
all
us could phone shame
Yeah.
you.
I mean, granted, on most nights you could leave the volume on because no one ever calls you.
That's not true, man. I thought you didn't talk.
Come
Oh.
on, ring, ring, ring.
Speaking of
Really?
Michael Raven Shadow has a flip phone because he thinks it's like his favorite current show, the Flip Wilson show. Jared,
The Flip Gordon show?
No. Oh, man.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
That guy's no good.
Yes.
Guy can't work. Don't make me put my blazer and pull out my tennis racket.
I won't. That's just stupid.
You don't have a tennis racket.
Yeah.
Hey, I was a varsity tennis player on the
Jim,
LHS
Jim Cornette over here.
tennis team. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but that disintegrated. It's so old.
The school
The
disintegrated?
tennis racket.
No.
Sounds like a bad Asian horror movie.
I actually, the last 6 months, the last season of tennis, I did not have my own tennis racket because I would accidentally leave it at different schools, and my parents refused to buy me one after the third or fourth. So I had to, Tiny had to pretend that he lost one of his tennis rackets, so someone would buy him one. So I had another tennis racket.
Well, let's get an update from El Goro. El Goro, you did some cool stuff this past month on your Patreon for Talk Without Rhythm, but let folks know what's been going on in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, the Patreon's been pretty busy up because I teamed up with the We Love Kim Cody GoFundMe campaign. I'm pretty sure that's been plugged in the past on the show, but
once or twice.
Once or twice, but just for the benefit of people who don't know, Kim Cody's a good friend of the show, good friend of yours truly as well, and she's had kind of a run of bad luck, and her friends have set up a GoFundMe campaign to kind of alleviate some of her medical bills, and they reached out to me with the opportunity to contribute to that, and what I ended up doing was a program that I called Carpenter for Cody, because over the last couple of years of doing Talk Without Rhythm, we're coming up on 9, I've covered a lot of John Carpenter movies on the show. He's one of my favorite directors, and it was always the plan to get around to covering the rest of his filmography. And so I decided to kind of get around to doing that, selecting all of the John Carpenter films I hadn't previously discussed, recording episodes about them, and making them available to anybody who contributed to the We Love Kim Cody GoFundMe campaign, or contributed to my Patreon, because all of the Patreon proceeds for the month of September will be donated to that campaign. So if you want to find out more about that, you could head over to the main website, tworpodcast.blogspot.com. Just look for one of the Carpenter for Cody episodes. The most recent one was a discussion of his Masters of Horror episode, Pro-Life. And yeah, you can click and find out all the details on that.
That's exciting. Because you and I have unless I've read it wrong, I feel like you and I share a fondness for that particular episode that isn't necessarily universal. So.
Well, what was funny is that that was one of the few that I actually hadn't seen by him.
Oh, really?
And it was all based upon negative word of mouth. I mean, there seems to be a sort of universal acclaim for Cigarette Burns, but much like a lot of season 2 of Masters of Horror, a lot of people kind of lined up to shit on it. So it was a revelation to me. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was a big monster-driven siege film with Ron Perlman.
Yeah, like I really liked it. I actually got Cigarette Burns messed up when I had spoke there, but I actually really like that one too. Like I feel like it's one of the, it stands out. I've actually been going through and rewatching some of those Masters of Horror, and some of them are much better than I remember.
Yeah, I think that initially when it was released, there was again, that sort of negative word of mouth just because the anticipation was so high.
Sure.
I mean, they kind of did flop it on the table. They called it Masters of Horror. They had all of these famous directors come in. You know, you had Tobe Hooper, you had John Carpenter, you had all of these guys. And I think the expectation was just through the roof. So when the episodes didn't quite live up to it, I think the backlash was just as strong. But if you go back and watch them in isolation, removed from that initial hype, I think more than a few of them really stand up.
Yeah, I agree. Like even the ones that like aren't stellar.
Mm-hmm.
I've only come across one that I thought was awful so far, and that was the Dance of the Dead one. But
yeah, that one wasn't great. Sorry, Toby.
Yeah, well, I think it wasn't like, I don't know. It just felt like a 90s goth metal video. So.
Yeah, it kind of did.
But yeah, no, I recommend anybody who has Tubi or Comic Con HQ. It's they're running the Masters of Horror right now, so.
There you go.
Pretty good,
Cool.
Pretty good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, I agree. I was kind of let down by quite a few of them, but some of them were good. Especially, I know it technically wasn't released, but was it Imprint? Was that
Imprint,
Takashi
yeah,
Miike?
Takashi.
Imprint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
from
was killer.
Miike.
Yeah, that's a brutal one to go through.
The
It
Argento
really
one,
is.
the Argento one from the first season, I think is fucking
Was
awesome.
it Peltz? Is that the one?
No, that was Jennifer.
Yeah, Jennifer was awesome.
I think Peltz is better.
Which Jennifer has one of my favorite pieces of extended trivia from that series because K&B did the special effects for it. And when it came time to do Jennifer, one of the special effects practical props they had to provide was a prosthetic penis. So they dug into their archives and they pulled up the Dirk Diggler penis from Boogie Nights.
Nice.
So it's the same dick.
That's amazing.
That's the dick
I would
that
have
keeps
thought
on
Marky
giving.
Mark would have taken that home with him.
Yeah,
There
right.
you go.
Wait a minute. That's not his real penis.
Apparently not. No, that was hand sculpted with love by K&B.
No, wow. Now you're gonna tell
The
me
toy
that's,
store?
that's not Ryan Gosling's real cardigan. Just
Like
taking
Lucky-
so much from me.
Lucky McGee's sick girl, or
In the chat room,
I love cigarette burns is still probably the best.
Cigarette Burns is still
Yeah.
tops.
Yeah.
That was far and away the best episode they did.
Best Constantine story that wasn't about Constantine.
I could dig that.
in the chat room, Paps asked, "Cigarette Burns, was that the one with Norman Reedus?"
Yes.
Yep,
When,
that was the
w-
one with
Norman
Reedus.
Reedus and Udo Kier.
We're not talking
Yep.
to Pabst.
Why? He's in the chat room.
No, he's in grounded.
Why?
What'd
What'd he do?
You shouldn't even be on the fucking computer right now. You're grounded.
What'd he do?
What do you do?
I don't know. He betrayed me.
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
I don't know.
I don't want
to.
to. I don't want to talk about like home politics on the internet.
Slegoth says Jennifer was based on a story and art done by Bernie Wrightson from a creepy or eerie story.
That's
oh really?
Nice.
Peltz is great because of that Claudio Simonetti score. That score is
Oh
fantastic.
yeah, I forgot about that.
that score. Oh my God.
Wasn't there one
And
where
Meatloaf.
all the women
Yeah,
died
right.
and the guys started going crazy? It started out with the bees dying, and then like all the women died off, and there was one woman that they had to hide her. The men started going crazy, like very aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that one?
You got weird dreams, Michael Ravenshadow.
No, but that sounds like a Jack Ketchum story, and a lot of the Masters of Horror books were based on literary work. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's
Short
possible that
stories
they
and-
did. Yeah. My favorite, I think. I mean, I really do like Jennifer. That is a good one. But and Cigarette Burns is great. But I think my
What
favorite.
about the Lansdale one?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna
Yeah.
say. My favorite.
Yeah,
is the-
Incident on and off the mountain road.
Oh,
kinda
wow.
set-
yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
set an unfair precedent for the show because that thing is fucking great and it's got great performances all the way across the board.
Mm-hmm. Though I still can't take him, the main guy, seriously because every time I see him, all I think of is Empire Records.
Right. Yeah. He's, you know what's funny though? What did we see him? He was in Devil's Candy, right?
Oh,
Devil's Candy, which
yeah.
I still haven't seen.
Yeah. Oh, you'd love it.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised you haven't seen it.
What's crazy about
Yeah.
that, El Goro, is that soundtrack is a fucking ambush because, like this isn't a negative thing, but just to put it in perspective, it's like it's a small art house film with a fucking Michael Bay soundtrack.
Yeah.
So like they have like some serious names.
Metallica,
Yeah.
and Slayer, I
Slayer.
believe. Yeah.
Ethan Embry.
Well, he's not on the soundtrack.
There he is.
Any chance you can mention Can't Hardly Wait?
Yeah.
I can't hardly wait.
Actually, Jesse, you could probably answer this. Didn't Sun O contribute to the soundtrack of Devil's Candy,
Yeah.
At least the guitarist was his
or
name?
just Sun? I
Yeah.
always mispronounce them.
Is it Sean O'Malley or Ryan O'Malley, something like that? I think he was on that, and he also obviously was recently contributed to the Mandy soundtrack as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, all right, well, we got to start wrapping this up. So, everyone go check out Talk Without Rhythm. And if you're not already a Patreon subscriber, go ahead. You can check out all the Carpenter for Cody. And our
Appreciate
air conditioner. Oh, I think we need Aries to jump in on the air conditioner.
Damn it.
Yeah, it's been doing that. I don't know.
Raven Shadow. What? Make yourself useful. Fix
No,
the air
no,
conditioner.
no.
What are you going to use him as a pair of
work.
tweezers?
It's the same. It's the same thing. And if he,
Oh, no, I know exactly how to fix it. I
yeah,
just
and
wanna
if
see
he does
Raven Shadow
anything,
can.
it'll end up all over the place.
It's not
Just-
a TV.
It'll be funny.
Just
it's working.
just unplug it right now, Raven Shadow.
Unplug it.
Plug it and plug it back in.
Wrench
No,
it around,
just-
wrench it off.
Unplug it, wait 10 seconds, then plug it back.
That's what,
No.
that's what happens when I call El Goro.
Aries, come on! I don't trust him with anything.
Yeah.
Hey, can I
It'll be funny.
We can just unplug it for now, and we'll fix it during the break.
My man, Mountain Mongoloid.
what?
Hey, Aries, by the way, I have a cup over there. I kept one.
Two Millbury
We're
guys.
having air conditioner problems.
Leave it alone.
We've we've got 2 Millbury guys, 1 cup going on over there. hey, can I plug something super quick? I won't waste everybody's time. But
Yeah, I was going to give you a chance during the intros, but go for it.
Okay.
Unless it's something else you're
Oh
going to
no, we can do the intros. I forgot. I didn't know we were gonna do it. I thought we were gonna start talking about movies.
No, we'll do a quick intro. We'll do it. We'll kill some time until these guys are done. So, so we'll do some intros. I am Johnny Wolfenstein, the pencil pusher and producer of media for Trick or Treat Radio, the Deadites, and also one of the co-hosts of the Outside Corner Fantasy Baseball podcast. And Aries Fix the AC. What a man!
Right away, wow.
And also one of the co-hosts of the Five Hossman Wrestling
He's
podcast.
like Han Solo and Chewbacca combined.
He is. He really is. Oh, and speaking of the Five Hossmen, we actually have 3 Five Hossmen here on the podcast. But one of them,
5 Hossman.
one of them is the immortal gunslinger, singer and lyricist for the Deadites, Dynamo Mars.
What's up, y'all? So I'm doing a thing, and also it's tied into the charity, Darkness for Light charity that El Goro was mentioning earlier. But it's the first project, and we decided to throw in with the Deadites in Alexander's charity there, and I'm not going to read the press release because I can't read very good, and there's fucking mayhem going on here, so I don't have a lot of time. But
do you want me to read it?
Yeah, could you read it? Because you read good, and it'd be much more concisely than me trying to explain what's going on.
Let me. I have to pull it up. So kill time.
I am double excited about this because when Wolfie pulls it up, it is a project that is going to feature not once but twice me working in a medium I swore I'd never work in because I'm not very talented in those ways, and it's real talented.
Is it porn?
No.
Sorry. Continue.
I promise I'm going to work in that, and I promise you're going to see it, whether you want to or not.
Hey, can I ask a Hossman question real quick before I forget?
No.
Go for it, brother.
Sure.
Are you guys gonna cover the Progress Wembley show?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Do you know what? Do you know when it is?
It's the 30th. It's because it's their biggest show they've done. They're making a big deal out of it, so I was curious.
Oh.
So I know you guys don't usually cover Progress.
Well,
But,
if we do cover it, it'll be in the November show because we're planning on recording before that in October.
Yeah.
no, it's the 30th of September,
Oh,
which is next Friday, right?
yeah, it is.
I'll
Next
tell you
Sunday,
what. I'll tell you what, Bill. I do like Progress, so I'll watch it, and at the very least, we have a segment at the beginning where we talk about what we've been watching. So I did already talk a little bit about Progress when I went to the show during Mania weekend, but yeah, I do like Progress. So
I'm super high on Progress right
I'll
now.
check that out.
I was I don't go super deep into indies, but like Progress is probably my favorite right now with that and Evolve. But yeah, there's some really good matches on that show.
Yeah, they have a good mix of homegrown talent, and they bring in some big indie stars. So it's definitely a fun promotion, and they have a lot of good stuff going on. So yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I don't keep up with it as closely as I probably would like to, but I'll definitely check that out. Wembley's that's a big venue.
Yeah, I don't think it's the stadium. It's the arena, so it's probably
where TNA runs.
Okay.
probably yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's like 5,000 to 8,000, but for a indie that size, that's
yeah.
impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
for sure.
Yep. Yeah, I'll definitely give that a look. All right, so now I think everything is all set. I got the press release here pulled up, so let me go ahead and read it. I'm going to read a wall of text. I'll try to do this quick. Darkness for Light and Dangerous Meow Meows are looking for authors to take part in a charity compilation to benefit the 2018 Darkness for Light recipient, Kim Cody. Video Store Nightmares aims to make retro scares for a great cause. It's a hot summer day in 1991. It's the middle of July, and you've been out of school for a few weeks. You've already run through all the usual suspects, watched the Star Wars trilogy, both of the Ghostbusters, and all the Star Trek movies. Your corner video store is the best type there is, a shitty mom-and-pop outfit with a weird array of tapes that have been there since they opened a decade ago. They have the usual hot releases, but also a ton of crazy stuff you never heard of. The good news is you've started getting into horror lately. You've watched all the big ones, Hellraiser, The Nightmares, and Fridays, including Part 5, just for the sake of completionism. You've also started picking up Fangoria at the grocery store and are ready to dive a little deeper into the horror movie realm. You have a few bucks in your pocket and stand in the horror section of the video store. It's a good selection taking up the whole front wall. Not where you'd usually see the horror, but you figure the old guy that owns the store likes the genre. The empty boxes are faded from the sunlight but still stand proudly on the wooden ledges, giving you hints of the movies that await. It's a long time until dinner, so you take your time pouring over each box. After about 30 minutes and a few surly looks from the store owner, who you're sure is wishing you would leave so he can drink that one beer he always has under the counter, you decide on the movie you're taking home that day. What you don't know is that you're going to absolutely love this movie. You're going to watch the tape over and over on repeat until your eyeballs pop out of your head. It ain't the best movie, but it will always have a special place in your horror-loving little heart. The story you're writing is a segment from this imaginary video. 1,000 to 3,000 words. The deadline is Monday, December 19th. And you want to send your entries and inquiries to dangerousmeows@gmail.com. So I'm not going to go through and talk about the rest because that's all just kind of press releasey stuff about the different organizations. But so what, Dynamo, and do you want to say who your partner is?
Dynamo and my dear friend Julie Meow Meows. Her and I started talking about writers and writing, and we're both wanted to kind of break into the prose world, but we're really intimidated by the submission process and stuff, and know a lot of writers, and it seems like real grinding. So I kind of got the idea to take the same approach that the Deadites do with our music when we do, and that's just fucking put it out. We like it. We trust each other enough to be our own editors, and we have a book that we've been working on for a little while. But we realized that we had the opportunity to kind of make our launch hot and important, and in that we decided to use it to help benefit somebody else, and use it to help benefit something that I was already working hard on. So we decided to tie it in with Darkness for Light, and we decided to try to bring some other writers in, to work with us. So, if you guys know any writers that are listening, or you can just find the press release on the Darkness for Light Facebook page, and share it. So, people that might be interested in contributing can, be involved, and don't be afraid of us, because we're like you. We're trying to figure this out ourselves, but Julie is a great writer, and she's very, very smart.
Good.
Oh, well, the people who I can say are definitely involved so far is Julie, who, despite the fact she's so funny and so nice, writes some very horrifying shit that I always get a little nervous when she asks me to read something, because it scares me. My first prose work will be in there, as well as a nomadic guy we hired to do a project I've always wanted. The guy's name is Kaz Meow Meow. And he is writing a Tiny Dynamo Men's Adventure style story. So
Men's Adventure.
Yeah, it should be really good.
Oh, wait, so you're writing a story for this?
Yep.
What stupid outfit and what stupid song am I going to dance to?
No. That's a movie thing. But
because every goddamn thing you write, you put me in some stupid outfit and have me dance to some stupid song.
Right. Well, those are film scripts, and don't worry, I got a good one coming.
Yeah.
All right. So just to put a bow on this, because we got to move on.
Sure. But thank you for giving me the time.
But Video Store Nightmares, and do you guys have a cap on how many submissions you're looking for? Or is that
because
still
we
up
are,
for debate?
as of right now, planning on it having be 100% digital. It could be 1 million.
Okay.
There's really nothing. Or even if you're a poet and can try to find a way to make, something that goes could fit in this. We'll work with it.
Well,
but
would a poem fit as a
hey, if they can make it work.
All right.
I will say right now, my segment is diary entries.
Diarrhea entries?
Diary entries.
Oh, okay. For you, that would have made sense.
Yeah, though I have been writing it a lot while I'm on the can. So
The ice cream sundae.
There you go.
yeah. So yeah, but yeah, and I think everybody here who has the same 80s VHS taste that I am will understand what I'm kind of riffing on when I do it. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you guys to see it.
That's super cool. So if any of you guys are interested and you would like to submit, it has to be 1,000 to 3,000 words. You can do so by sending an email to dangerousmeows@gmail.com. Meows as in like a cat meows. dangerousmeows@gmail.com. Send all submissions. Make sure you get them in by Monday, December 19th to be considered. And this is a cool thing. We'll have to talk some more about it as we continue on. We have so much going on right now.
It's crazy.
That we'll just kind of mention it, get it out there. If you
Yep.
guys know anyone that's a writer that has something that might fit this already, or if they want to write something. And also, this is a great way because November for a lot of people is NaNoWriMo, right?
That's true.
So if people want to, they can write during November and then polish it up in December and send it out. That's something that you could do. Maybe people could send multiple submissions if they if they want to make sure they get on.
This is something that unless me and Julie gets sick of me blushing the whole entire time we're having a business
Oh,
meeting.
you had just submitted.
Well, it's because I figured it out. Meow meows is the secret word for the internal shoe heaters I have, so I get real hot.
That's the excuse.
Yeah. So, but I think that this is something that we're gonna do because Darkness for Light is something that's gonna happen every year. It's a benefit that the Deadites and I set up to help someone all year round. So we're hoping to do this particular compilation every year. So.
We have a question.
Yep.
And this is from Chromcast Josh, who's hanging out.
Yep.
Says, do you guys have details about how these should be submitted? Is PDF preferable? So do you guys have a preferred method? Do you want it as a specific file type or just maybe copy it and paste it in the email? Do you have a preference?
As a we use Google Docs a lot, but any sort of like Word type thing will.
You should be able.
Yeah,
you should be fine.
we'll be able to work with it. It'll be fine.
And I guess if you guys couldn't open the file for whatever reason, you could just let the person know, and they could just copy and paste it in an email or something.
Right. So
or whatever. Okay, so if anyone has questions, if they're not sure, you can just send an email to dangerousmeows@gmail.com to get some more answers. But it sounds like Josh knows a few people that are interested.
Super excited.
And we also have Andy Triefenbach is hanging out. What's up, Andy?
Wow,
that's awesome.
Andy!
Yeah.
Wow, old school love right there.
Yeah, we always talk about my bucket list of people. I think Andy might complete it if that happens, if we get him on the show.
Oh, we have a big bucket list, but that would definitely
he was somebody who like right away because I loved his show so much.
Yeah.
So, Andy, come to Wasteland. Come to Wasteland, Andy.
So it's awesome having Andy. And then we also have our boy Tony Landry hanging out, Bill.
Oh, that guy fucking sucks.
He says solid. He said solid guest tonight, and Bill.
Yeah.
It's like he knew I was going to talk shit about him.
When he entered the room, he said pour one out for Joey Janela's knee.
Oh, dude, did you hear his injury, man? He's got like 10 things broken in there.
Wow, I didn't know. That's sad because he's
he
pretty much
blew out
the indie scene now.
He blew out literally everything in his knee except for his ACL. So he tore his MCL and tore his PCL. Has like 3 major deep bone bruises. Like he's going to be out for like a year.
That sucks. He was like the big indie darling too.
Yo, and he lives up to it too.
That sucks.
Yeah, but he's a good promoter, so once he can like travel and stuff, he'll still be doing his shows and stuff, I think.
Yeah. Oh, Goro, Andy says no Wasteland this year, brother.
That's disappointing, especially since our buddy Brian's going to be there. We could recreate a photo that we took years and years ago.
He's another one I want if it's the Brian I'm thinking of. If I could make it a
Boitano?
Yeah, yep.
Brian Boitano?
Yep,
yes, Brian Boitano.
Right. How did you know, Bill, of all the Bryans?
Yeah, I know. Out of all the
easy. Famous figure skater that I would love to meet.
Right. It's true.
South Park wrote a punk song about him. It was great.
That's true.
Didn't he blow out his knee, too?
Not yet.
He blew something.
Whoa!
Is that a gay joke?
Well,
we also have...
No, he blew out his knee. I mean, figure skating is very dangerous, Bill.
We also have the vulgar guru of horror, star Bloodpig's Fetus in the upcoming Morbid Tales and Septic, one-time contributor for Horror Hound magazine, Monster Zero.
Hello.
Oh, and soon-to-be guest speaker at high school.
Yes.
And soon to have to wear a bracelet for that.
Soon to, yeah.
Just remember, MC, if you get nervous, do not picture them naked. Do not.
That's actually really sound advice, Gore.
Yeah,
because I
right?
think he would.
Jeez.
All right, we also...
Thank you, because I was just about to do that.
we also have the Triumph Riding, Stage Erecting, Whiskey Drinking, Chief of Security, Warrior of Nor'easters, America's Sweetheart, the Innovator of Silence, and Rick Rubin's stunt double, Ares, God of War.
Wait, where the fuck did that silence shit come from?
Last week,
I
man.
like it.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Because you're it's the whiskey
Well,
pot.
No, you know what? If there's something to say, I say it. I don't
Well,
feel...
I called you the Innovator of Violence, but then Raven Shadow changed it.
Yeah, I enhanced
Yeah,
it.
You didn't fucking enhance it.
I did enhance it.
You didn't.
Choke slam him. Show him what
I
it's
said
about.
the innovator of silence.
Just because I don't feel the need to fill the air with ramblings doesn't make me silent.
Wow.
Well, I liked you when you're more silent, though.
Yeah.
Can we shut this mic off?
No.
Wow.
Oh.
I think it's snowing somewhere. It's cold. Where you from, Goro? Is it snow day yet?
Dude, you get
mountains.
more snow than I do.
I don't know where I am.
Yeah, Michael, just stop, please. Just stop talking.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Down boys, baby. Down boys.
Thank you.
Nothing like
Thank you, Bill.
nothing like supporting his point too, right?
Yeah, yeah. We also have. Keep an eye on him. The chain smoking,
I'm not looking at
hand
you.
kissing, baby shaking.
Oh, I'm just gonna keep on
Lorazepam
going
loving.
and ramble on. The entire no, keep on going, keep on going, because I'm gonna talk over this entire
Former comic
motherfucking
book
thing,
reading nerd.
just so I can prove a point. Keep
official-
going, because no one else can hear what he. Oh,
No. You just were too loud. You were talking like yelling into the
yeah,
mic.
no, I don't want
There,
anyone.
that's
to,
fine.
I don't want
The
anyone,
official smoke chamber
anyone
for
to
Castle
hear
Wolfenstein.
what
the Pimple
Johnny is
Promotions,
saying about
the
anything
Italian
that is
rapscallion,
being spoken,
professional
because
bullshitter,
no one needs
the
to
cool
hear this
principal,
fucking
the
bullshit that is
proprietor
going
of the
on
Sexy
right now.
Speakeasy,
Easy.
Mr.
Runtime,
Runtime, and the Parisian
Parisian
Brew Hall
Brouhaha
himself,
himself.
Michael
Well,
Raven
I should
Shadow.
eliminate my testicles.
Why do you always leave out banana fingers?
He's got too many.
It's very exciting. Thank you, everyone, for that intro.
You think, Aries?
Fucking king of all gimmicks over here.
You know what? That's a good segue, down
Oh
boy, brother.
shit! Is that a new title?
I
No,
think so. Because also in preparation for Rock and Shock, I got some things off the press. Some new 8x10s coming at you.
Oh, let's see.
shit.
Wait,
Oh,
wait,
shit.
Can we reveal?
You
can
actually,
reveal them.
you actually have something to promote.
I do.
What are you
Are
promoting?
they on paper this time, or are they on actual?
We're still figuring things out. I got new
Well, they were
laminate.
on real paper last time. It was just photocopy paper.
No, that's fucking Bond's second sheet, sir.
Because you know what? I think we need to start taking titles away from you if you don't earn them.
Listen. I have new laminate. It has instructions, but no, I have 3.
Have you even opened this yet?
Yeah, I practiced.
Oh, your promotion?
I have my classic original. That's the original
Yep.
Raven Shadow one.
Wow,
That's
that
the
is
original
old.
right
Yeah,
there.
people
That
like
is
that.
old.
A lot of people have this in their fireplaces for kindling, or on their walls.
Hey,
Wait, I
Agora?
love the
You
fact
got
that
like
it's
a woolly-
two-sided.
Agoro,
So
Yo,
in
the
the
fact that
chat,
you're holding up to the camera, the rest
when
of
you
us can
ask
still
why I'm
see it.
miserable all the time, just remember this.
I did that on purpose.
You got a beard like Wooly Willy in that thing.
True, well, you're getting that too, Blackbeard. And now I have Michael Raven Shadow's smokehouse right now, hanging out.
This is the worst picture I've
What
ever
the
seen.
fuck is that?
Down. It's upside
It's up-
down.
What is
that?
it?
No, it's not. It's
Yes, it
right
is.
side up on the
It's
camera.
It's upside. Oh,
Look,
Oh, that's fucking radio magic right there, John.
What
Yeah.
is that?
that's a horrible picture.
Why? Oh, I'm still working it out.
I
Why?
can't even see you.
What is
Raven
it?
Shadow, that sucks.
I can't even see you.
Well, I'm still, maybe that's a special edition one.
Who took that picture?
Your mother.
She's a good photographer.
You're in that?
I'm gonna.
I can't even
Give
see
me
you.
that.
Oh, here's a
I'm
better
gonna make
one.
some.
no,
I'm gonna
Come
make.
on, crop
give me
that
that-
shit.
Oh, no, here's a better one.
I'm gonna make some Dominatrix 8x10s just to see
That's,
who.
medieval times, Michael Raven Shadow.
Holy shit! What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
What is that guy blowing?
You don't
Yeah,
even
you-
know. That's my manservant, the Iron Budrow.
Is he blowing? What
No,
is
he's just
doing?
he's got his helmet on. He's at the Rocketeer.
I want to get that guy's autograph, not yours.
Yeah, that guy seems more interesting.
my
Yeah.
life sucks.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Why didn't you
right?
pick up a fucking weapon?
Well, 'cause I don't need that. I got my battle arm.
My battle
arm.
arm.
Looks like you got the
Jackass.
fucking power glove.
It's exciting, right? So yeah, come to Rocket Shock weekend.
That's it?
Well, I'm still working on it. The fucking I print so much. I got new laminate. I talk about that.
Yeah, Raven Shadow. This
All right, well,
photo
well,
fucking
you can't have that
bites.
one. How's
Let me
that?
see.
I don't want it.
Okay,
well-
I think we can
His
successfully.
head's cut off. He's got a
All right,
picture where you
Raven
can't
Shadow.
see his head.
Raven Shadow,
Yes.
I have to say, man, I'm very disappointed in you. I mean, you got these new 8x10s. I appreciate that. You know,
Yes,
it's
thank you.
always be closing. You gotta promote, man. But the fact that you didn't recreate Burt Reynolds' classic Playgirl spread.
No,
where-
God.
I mean, that's just
Oh.
a missed opportunity, man. You need
Goro,
better
why would you put
representation.
ideas like that in his
Oh
head?
my
Thank you,
God.
Because it
Goro.
amuses me.
Johnny, let's
No,
do a photo shoot.
I'll do that.
No.
Come
I'll-
on,
I'll
no.
do that.
Take pictures of me.
I'll do it for MZ.
Why?
I'll do it.
Oh my God.
No.
I'll do it.
Someone's getting smacked.
I'll do it.
I ain't
All
talking
right,
now.
MC,
You know-
if you do it, do not hand out the 8x10s to the high school kids.
Yes.
I'll do it.
MZ's going to bring his Tuck video as
I'll,
a presentation.
My intro video.
That's an award-winning film too, Bill. Okay.
Oh my god.
yeah. The Burt Reynolds Cosmopolitan.
Or is the
Centerfold?
Cosmopolitan not Playgirl? Okay.
Yeah. It was Cosmopolitan magazine.
Corny's about to have an asthma attack, he said. Nice job, Barry Machado.
I'm sorry,
And
Corey.
Crowdcast Josh says, no, Goro. No.
What? And what the fuck is a smokehouse?
Yeah, what is a smokehouse?
Yeah, why not
Explain.
at the sexy speakeasy?
Yeah.
Well, because I haven't taken pictures there yet. I'm working on it though.
That is your house, after all.
I'm gonna take a fucking lay in the fuck. Well, I could do that. I could like lay down.
Take a selfie, get a selfie stick.
Well, because it's actually the sleepy speakeasy.
No,
And he falls
you-
asleep every time he goes in it.
Well,
That's
no,
true.
this-
You did say when you lay down after 5 p.m., you sit down for like a few minutes after 5 p.m. you fall asleep.
There's been a lot happening there lately, Johnny. Things have changed.
Yeah.
And are your hands spread in that smokehouse shot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
All right, so you're really leaning into the Jesus comparisons.
Thank
then,
you.
right?
I
Okay.
am just like Jesus. Goro.
Oh, maybe I missed something, but why do you have all those with you?
Why? You guys don't carry 8x10s of yourself around? No, but I'm promoting for the Rocket Shock event.
The rocket ship.
We'll be at the table next to Bill by
The
Force
Prince
and the
of
other one.
Promotion.
What are you promoting?
Trick or Treat Radio, available on iTunes,
Well, it's
Stitcher
just
Radio.
like you're
of
promoting
you.
yourself.
Maybe
It's
you
you.
should say that on the photo.
So you're
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah, you didn't even
thinking
ask
Trick or
for,
Treat
for
Radio.
a
that
logo.
somebody's gonna drop $40 a day to come get bad pictures of you autographed.
No, don't come for that, but if you're there already, throw us a few bucks.
So are you
Throw
gonna have
us a few bucks.
Yeah.
you're gonna have multiple copies of these to sign and distribute?
I don't know if people want it. Come find me.
On cheap jack paper.
That was a yes or no. You're gonna
Yeah.
have multiple copies of these.
Well, come to Rock. What am I fucking under oath? What am I fucking
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yeah.
Fucking, I may have some. If you, yeah.
So Wolfie,
Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
have 'em.
know what's gonna be awesome when Tiny and I are there Sunday? We're gonna sign those.
You should. No, we'll bring some other ones. We get some photos of all of us too.
Bring some other ones.
I mean, I hung the 8x10 of you on my wall,
Thank
so I mean, that's something.
Thank you. You get that award, my picture. What else you fucking
Yeah.
need?
Well, he's still waiting to get his dartboard fixed.
I tried to
Yeah, I
hang
have
the
it on my
8x10,
wall.
but I was overruled.
I'm proud of it. I'm gonna take a picture and send it to you
I
guys.
bet you were.
Even in the studio, Goro?
Yeah.
Not even there.
Come on, Goro.
She's not. She's not a. We. You know. I know you didn't listen, but we weren't even allowed to say your name on Elm Street Kids. Like
There
you,
you go.
you were who will not be named.
That's good.
But Johnny, I am totally down for doing the Cosmo shoot.
What the
No, I'm
fuck?
not doing. Why do I have to do the fucking shoot?
Because
Because you're the producer, man.
Yeah.
You gotta take one for the team.
I have a question. What in the world?
I better get a fucking cut of these.
What in the
fucking
world are
things.
you gonna use to cover your giant balls?
2 boulders.
Well, do you
don't know.
have a Laserdisc version of Cannibal Holocaust?
Oh, you do you?
I don't think you could cover
No.
both with a laser
Oh, you don't?
disc.
no, I should get arms
Well, if you
like
open it up,
Popeye
all
if I'm gonna
capable
do
of,
that.
like-
Oh, right.
You do have some Laserdisc still, though.
I
don't-
still got Laserdiscs, sure.
What's your favorite one?
What don't you mind getting a ball print on?
2 fucking hippity hops.
Probably. Oh, what's my
Do you still have
favorite?
the
That's a
Blood
good
Red Evil
question.
Dead?
I really don't know.
You
Probably
got
my
basket
Japanese.
case on?
Well, I got a Japanese import Evil Dead.
Is that the blood red
There.
one?
No, that's Evil Dead 2.
Right,
that's
right.
that's the elite release.
Do you still have that?
I got one that's open and one that's unopened.
Can I have one? I don't care.
The one that touches your balls.
I don't want that one.
All right, we really gotta
I'll sign
fucking
it with a
move
ball
on.
print.
I literally, so I did. I won't mention them till they drop, but I did
balls?
2. I did 2 podcast engagements this week, and they both said, "Why you been leaving so early?" This is why I've been leaving so early. Like my head is pounding right now, thinking of fucking Raven Shadow Smokehouses, fucking Naked Monster Zeros.
Evil,
not talking.
Evil Corny
Aries.
says, "Who the hell takes a picture of a smokehouse?"
I don't even know what it is.
What? It's just, you fucking Well, I mean, smokehouses out there, like where they do the barbecue. The barbecue, they do that there.
the barbecue.
But no, it's a smoking hut outside of a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
A smoking hut.
Yeah.
That's what a smokehouse
Smoking
is.
the hut.
No.
This
He's standing in a smoking area outside of a restaurant.
Right.
That's not a
Oh,
smokehouse.
man, I thought it was a smokehouse where you smoke
no.
and cure meat.
No, it's where I smoke butts and get cancer.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Oh,
That's not a smokehouse.
Well, it's mine.
No, a smokehouse is where it's a closed-in area, and it's basically what it is. You smoke meat.
like,
What do I understand the concept?
Well,
but
he might smoke meat in it.
oh, what the fuck?
Oh shit! Tony's got an idea. Raven Shadow's Smokehouse T-shirt needs to happen.
Thank
Oh,
you.
yes.
Oh, pal.
He already has a T-shirt.
Raven
yeah.
Shadow smoking some meat.
Yeah. I got 2 shirts. It's very exciting.
You have one shirt.
I have 2.
You have one.
I have 2.
2 different colors.
I have 3.
Oh my god!
Come
You-
come to the Rumble this year. You don't even know.
You drawing with a Sharpie on a T-shirt does not count.
I have 4. What do you think of that?
Try not to.
Down, boys, Bill.
Johnny, I just don't know.
You don't know what?
I don't know.
Can
Oh,
we continue
Oh,
this?
outside the cinema, pick up.
Weren't we just about to take a break?
Yeah.
Yes, Raven
Okay.
Shadow. Look,
Bill,
Oh, that's my dude right there.
yeah.
I'm showing Raven
What?
Shadow the picture
Bill,
you just sent.
Chris is looking old and tired. I
Look
think
at
you
that
need a
frame.
new host.
That's Down Boys for life there, buddy.
Don't encourage
Down
him.
boys for life.
See? Bill knows.
All right.
Oh, dude, you can't fuck with the down boys.
Word.
Joey Janela's hurt. I just found out that Nerm Borfogel passed away. This is a fucking
I
bad
know.
show.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Norm Brayfogle.
He was so fucking good.
He was
Great.
It's so fucking terrifying, too. He would draw, like, sinister dudes with knives all the time.
All the time.
And it'd be fucking horrifying.
I loved him.
All right, we need to take a break. I got everyone's intro. So we need to take a break in just a moment. If you guys want to help support the show, head on over to trickortreatradio.com. There's a few ways you can do so. Scroll down. You can see an Amazon logo. Click on it. It'll bring you right to Amazon with our affiliate link entered. Everything you purchase in that session gets attributed to us. It doesn't cost them any extra, Raven Shadow.
But it helps keep the lights on.
And also, if you want to, you can just head on over to our Amazon store, amazon.com/shop/the Deadites. We typically update it every week with the films that we discuss and, other things that we happen to mention or have conversations about. So if you guys want to, head on over there and check that out. We also have a store. Go to trickortreatradio.com, click on store. You can buy some merch. There's some digital content, Trick or Treat Radio, Greatest Hits Volumes 1 through 3. Maybe we should put together a 4th one. We typically do one for Rock and Chalk, right?
Oh, yeah.
So maybe we'll see if there's time. There's so much going on that I don't know if we'll have time, but let's see if we can get that
I don't know what you're
together.
talking about. There's nothing going on at all.
Thanks, Bill.
And let's see. And then also there's a few T-shirts. We're running low on quantities, but if you guys want to check out the T-shirts, there's buttons, there's pins, there is other stuff. So keep that a look.
I'm trying to get
I got
new
plenty of
shirts
Survival
done,
of the Film Freaks t-shirts, though.
It's fucking.
There you go.
I need I'm having some troubles. That's all I can say. I'm having
Okay,
some
having
troubles.
some troubles.
Just running out of time.
Yeah, time is of the essence.
Yeah, it
so
sucks.
So we'll if there's anything new that pops up on there, if we can get something in time for Rock and Chalk, we will. But we'll let you guys know if we do. But for now, we need to head to a break. So Raven Shadow, you sit down to watch Ghost Stories. What do you do to prepare for this movie?
I had fucking trouble, Johnny. Did
Oh, my
Can I
God.
talk about it?
No,
or-
just say it. Just say it.
Yeah, you can sure.
All right, so I had my buddy and a friend of ours, Thomas Smythe, come over the house to help me with some internet stuff, some computer stuff, set up my antivirus software. But I'm having a problem with my computer because I couldn't access Netflix. I couldn't watch certain videos since Sunday.
So
it was weird.
his internet was fucked.
Yeah. So I ended up calling the local cable company, and they got to they pinged me. They said they pinged me. So I need a new modem. My modem's fucked up.
Do you know what a modem is?
I do now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a thing that's a Marvel character with a big head. It has
It's
that.
MODOK.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Fucking hate MODOK. But no, there is a modem. That's the fucking
Yep.
woman one.
Mhm.
There's a fucking female MODOK.
I was just gonna stick up for you, but you did
Thank
it
you.
yourself.
Yeah.
All right.
That's stupid.
why,
that dumb?
why is it? Imagine a porn with them in it, though. That'd be awesome.
That'd be weird. Fucking Axel Braun,
That'd be
get on the
awesome.
fucking phone. That's weird. You like MODOK, Goro? Thanks.
Yes, I like MODOK.
Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I had my mic muted.
That's fair. So I had problems. Johnny. Johnny couldn't help. He said I wasn't doing things right. So it sucked.
That was a fair assessment.
Well, yeah, but Tom was.
Well, I asked the right questions.
Yeah.
I was like, "Did you?" And I didn't know if I'd known Tom had helped, I probably wouldn't have.
You completely IT'd him. Did you turn it off and turn
I
it
did.
back on?
I totally
You
did.
You
Absolutely
No.
did.
And I did
Dude, that shit works, man.
It does with the modem. You power cycle, and
Yeah.
most of the time it fixes it.
So it sucks. I have no internet for like 3 to 7 business days.
Oh my God, no porn?
Fucking 8, Aries. I know. It sucks.
You can watch it on your phone, you idiot.
No, my phone's fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, how do you think I
okay.
get my daily? How do you think I get my daily doses of Angela White? You know,
I don't know who the fuck
wrap
that
this
is.
up, wrap this
I
up.
got a long few days before I can fucking strap on again.
Do you love a scary story? Do you love to dance? The Big Scary Monster Haunts at Midnight is a collection of dark songs about sex, love, death, revenge, and the end of the world. Brought to you by the world's greatest monster hunting electroshock band, the Deadites. Available on iTunes, Google Music, Amazon, CD Baby, and all other digital distribution sites.
I'm Alex West. And I'm Andrea Subasati, and we're from the Faculty of Horror podcast. And you're listening to Trick or Treat Radio.
Hello, everyone. It's me, Jason Voorhees. You want to keep up to date with the world's greatest monster hunting, electroshock, world-saving superheroes there are? Well, me, I could care less for those sons of a bitches. But if you want to, go to Twitter, @TheDeadites. For Michael Ravenshadow, that's the A in the half parentheses. @TheDeadites. Keep up to date with tour dates. Sorry. Upcoming shows. Oh, my goodness. New releases. Hot dates. All right, anyway, I'm sorry. @TheDeadites on Twitter. Follow everything about the Deadites at Trick or Treat Radio, which admittedly is not a whole hell of a lot.
Thank you guys for having me on. It's a blast. You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much.
And, Trick or Treat Radio, man. That's where it's at. That's the new Fangoria Radio is Trick or Treat Radio.
Don't say that.
You really put us under.
It's like swearing in church. I
You
don't know.
just jinxed us.
Yeah. you put a lot on our shoulders just now.
Well, we can strive for
You
greatness.
guys are awesome.
Yeah,
you really
just
are. You got
say
a
that again
great show.
slowly.
Wouldn't it be beautiful to be really in the presence of a ghost or being from another plane?
All right, see you, Mars. All right, we're back on Trick or Treat Radio as Mars
Did we
leaves.
lose Mars already?
No, he just left as we're coming back.
Oh, okay.
So, and we're playing the Ghost from the Deadites. I thought that would be appropriate to play for ghost stories.
Which always reminds me of a Streets of Rage level.
That's not a bad thing, I guess.
No, not at all.
All right, so we are going to talk about Ghost Stories. Ghost Stories from, I guess it had some festival runs in 2017, but it got released on VOD earlier in 2018 and just hit DVD and Blu-ray a couple weeks ago. This film is not rated, 98 minutes, and is directed and written by Jeremy Dyson and Andy Nyman. And it stars Andy Nyman, Martin Freeman, Paul Whitehouse, Alex Lawther, Paul Warren, and that's pretty much it. The other roles are just bit parts. The synopsis: the skeptical professor Philip Goodman embarks on a trip to the terrifying after finding a file with details of 3 unexplained cases of apparitions. So let me pull up my notes here, and we'll get talking about this. So actually, like we almost did this earlier, but it just happened to go up against some other movies that we had higher up on our list, so we didn't actually do it when it hit VOD. But since it hit DVD and Blu-ray, and actually talking to you, Goro, was sort of what prompted this, because you watched it, I think, maybe a week or two prior to it hitting DVD or Blu-ray, and you'd asked, had anyone seen it? And, it kind of reminded me that I hadn't had a chance to see it yet, and I still would have liked to do it for the show. So that's sort of what prompted this, and it was a good time. We had sort of an opening this week, and I thought it would be a good time, and I also wanted to get you involved in it because I know you had recently saw it, and I guess we'll find out if you enjoyed it, but it seems like you did enjoy certain things about it at the very least.
Well, put it this way. This is going to be the first of 2 planned times I'll be talking about this movie, so I'm kind of tipping my hand of how much I enjoyed this film.
Gotcha.
Oh, whoop-de-doo.
So this was actually, it's adapted from a stage play that was written by the same guys, Jeremy Dyson and Andy Nyman. And I believe it was in the late 90s is when they originally wrote this. So kind of interesting. It's been kind of kicking around for a little bit, and, it was performed on stage. I don't know how well it was received or how long it ran, but, clearly turning it into a movie, it must have did fairly well for itself. And if I didn't make it clear, this is a British story, so it definitely has sort of some British humor and, just some other sort of British
It's very
references.
British.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
And it's very referential to classic British horror.
Yeah, and you actually hit me to this, Goro, so I'll let you sort of talk about this. But you had mentioned Amicus portmanteau movies. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, to put it briefly, of course, most horror fans are familiar with the output of Hammer during the 50s through the 70s.
Yep.
And they were undisputedly the kings of British horror, but kind of neck and neck with them, and in some people's estimations slightly superior, there were companies like Amicus. And whereas Hammer tended to prioritize the gothic horror, readaptations of stuff that traditionally Universal had covered, Amicus's films tended to be more modern set. And as another point of differentiation, they also tended to do these portmanteau movies, as they called them, or as we would refer to them stateside, anthology films. Stuff like Tales from the Crypt, stuff like Vault of Horror, plenty of others. I'm trying to remember. Is it Dr. Terror's House of Horrors is one of them. Quite a few just great ones. From Beyond the Grave is my personal favorite of them. And in the lead up to Ghost Stories, one of the things that first caught my attention was the filmmakers saying that they intended this to be something of a throwback to that tradition of British horror storytelling. And they managed to fit in a couple different references as well, including a reference to another company called Tygon, which also released some horror films during this period.
Yeah, it's definitely a blind spot for me. I mean, obviously I've seen a lot of, or a fair amount of the Hammer stuff, so I wasn't as familiar with Amicus, but obviously, Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, there's The House That Dripped Blood, Tales from the Crypt, Asylum, Vault of Horror, From Beyond the Grave, or just a few that were this sort of portmanteau, sort of style, which, once again, as Goro mentioned, is, to us, as we know it, more of the horror anthology.
Yeah. And From Beyond the Grave is outstanding. I urge
it's so good.
everybody to seek that out.
Yeah, that's one I haven't seen, so I definitely would. And actually, I talked to a friend of mine who we were talking about Amicus, and he said that one was really good as well. So it seems to be universally loved From Beyond the
to
Grave.
me, it's neck and neck with that and Tales from the Crypt. So
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the ones I'd usually put up there. And as I just looked it up because I knew I was forgetting about Trigun. Trigun, you guys are probably familiar with because they put out Witchfinder General and Blood on Satan's Claw.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, absolutely. So, this is sort of a bit of a throwback to that style, and they certainly subvert some of the tropes of the portmanteau film, or even some just straight up horror tropes with what they do with this. And it's sort of definitely an interesting take on it to see this sort of thing now, because it's it definitely fits in the landscape of film now, but it definitely has a different feel to it than a lot of other films, especially a lot of horror anthologies. We've seen our fair share of horror anthologies, and this one definitely felt different to me. Did you guys get that sort of feeling, guys in the room here?
It felt British to me.
I
didn't necessarily think it definitely feels different than your creep shows and stuff like that. But I mean, it just is inherently British. So if you're not, and I'm personally not a big British horror fan in general. Like, I can get down with some of the Hammer stuff, but it just doesn't appeal to me. I mean, I like trash, and those are all to me like much more like highbrow style horror films.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing inherently wrong with any of it, and I know people eat it up. It's just not really my cup of tea. So like, I watched this when it first dropped on VOD like 3-4 months ago, and like I had to rewatch it because I didn't remember a lot about it, and now I like, it's just British horror is just not my thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can certainly see that. I mean, if you're a fan of trash, that's never really been part of their tradition.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very much about establishing atmosphere, not exclusively that. I mean, let's not forget that Neil Marshall is part of the British horror tradition. But yeah, this was definitely a more of trying to establish an atmosphere than just to revel in the sleaze.
Well, also the wraparound story is included into the anthology stories themselves. It's not like something completely separate and we got this wraparound story going on, and I'm going to tell you a story. And,
sure.
But they all combine into the wraparound.
It was quite literary in that sense. Like, it reminded me of something like this Jonathan Mayberry anthology I'm reading right now, but it's all about the same character. But even more so something like Titus Crow, that is different stories that are all kind of about the same character, but the same kind of phenomenon.
Yeah, and especially with Crow, when you start throwing in like the epistopalic stuff, so it's him reading accounts that had come before, and then referencing a bunch of different things. Lovecraft used a comparable technique.
Sure.
But even if you looked back at some of the old portmanteau flicks from Amicus, they didn't draw as clear a line of the wraparound as what we would expect to see in American stuff. Mm-hmm. For example, From Beyond the Grave, the big sort of connective tissue to that is people going into a pawn shop and picking up items, which in turn leads into their story.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think we have a sort of, at least the horror anthologies that we watch on this show, as far as rappers go, we sort of have a low opinion. Well, maybe not low opinion, but low expectations, because we have ones like the VHS ones, and like some of the other ones that we've done, the rappers are just barely there. It's just to sort of have a loose way to link them together, and that's one of the things I really appreciated about this one is even though it's set up like a anthology or a portmanteau, it's in a way it's a coherent narrative throughout, without really spoiling too much, I guess. It is sort of, because it has the same protagonist with Professor Goodman, who is involved in all three of them as he sort of investigates these three stories. So in a way, they are linked a little bit more than other horror anthologies that we watch. So, so there is that. One other thing I wanted to mention in regard to Amicus is that it was actually, even though it was a British studio, it was actually founded by two Americans, producer and screenwriters Milton Subotsky and Max Rosenberg. So just thought that was interesting that it was founded by two Americans.
You're welcome.
What?
I want to thank you for your contributions to British horror, Raven Shadow.
Thank you. Yeah, America again.
All right, Trump. Thanks.
What is it he used to say? 2-time World War winners.
Back-to-back World War champs. Just saying. You get rings for that? You should, right?
Rings?
Yeah, like rings. You know, like you won.
Like
you know.
championship rings?
Yeah. You know, like fucking who's the fucking Rough Rider dude? He could have a bunch.
The Rough Rider dude.
Yeah.
DMX.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, him.
All
That
right,
guy's
so,
My life is fucking terrible. I hate my life.
So let's jump into this. So we have real quick, I already talked about the synopsis, but sort of a little, some plot details. Professor Goodman is the host of a show called Psychic Cheats, and he's trying to expose fraudulent psychics. That's sort of how we start off. And then as he's doing this, he gets a letter from the man who inspired him, Charles Cameron, who was supposedly missing. So it was odd for him to get a package from Mr. Cameron. And then Charles Cameron also came up with the term existential terror, which is sort of what inspired Professor Goodman. And it just kind of explains supernatural phenomena and explains away, I should say, that a lot of these supernatural phenomena are really, in people's minds. Because one thing they keep coming back to is the brain believes what it wants to see, or the brain sees what it wants to see. That's sort of a trend as we move through the movie. So, he goes and meets up with Charles Cameron, and he hands them basically these 3 cases that he wasn't able to solve. And he says, if you can go and prove to me that, if you can explain these ones away, come back and tell me and talk to me. And so it kind of sets it up like these are unsolvable cases in a way, or just saying like, it's definitely supernatural. Go see if you can prove otherwise.
I thought that was kind of cool. I like that. I wasn't, from what I was able to see, I like that was a good motivator.
Yeah.
For a wraparound,
Yeah, absolutely. And did you know that it was a horror anthology? Because obviously Raven Shadow did have issues. He wasn't able to watch the whole thing.
Well, I mean, the title kind of gave it away. I mean,
Ghost Stories,
plural.
Yeah.
But I figured, but I did like how that scene ended with him and the dude when he looks back. He looks back at his mentor or his hero.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
Well,
I mean, it's not much of a spoiler. You see a ghost behind him.
Well, the mind sees what the mind wants.
Well,
that's early in the movie. That's not that much of a
Yeah.
spoiler.
Well, fair. But Johnny thought it was fucking Kaiser Soze the way he fucking.
Well, I
reacted.
thought you were talking about something later. So, and I was like, how do you know about
Yeah,
that?
this is going to be a tough one to talk about without giving away.
Yeah.
All the movies are tough ones to talk about here. All the movies, Bill. They're all tough ones to talk about.
It's not true.
Look who's talking.
Take a deep breath. Count to 10.
What's tough to talk about and look who's talking?
We talk about Luke who's talking all of a sudden?
Bruce Willis was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say this
This
is
dude
a
has
film
us an
that
hour all night.
Let Goro talk.
Stop mentioning him, man. You just gotta let it slide past, and just keep moving on. You can do it. I believe in you. But I will say this is a film that it does reward multiple viewings of it.
Oh, yes.
Because they nestle in things that when you've watched it with knowledge of how it ends, it informs and enriches a lot of the details. And there were a lot of details that I missed and a lot of reoccurring elements that made a hell of a lot more sense when you actually are going out and looking for them on subsequent watching.
Yeah, says you.
Yeah, says me.
Yeah.
I watched it twice and I hated it as much the second time I watched it.
Oh. Well, we know how he feels.
So I actually watched. So I watched it late last night, and I was able to take in everything, but I wanted to go back and rewatch like the last 20 to 30 minutes today, just to make sure I was able to take it all in. And in doing so, there was a lot of. I'm glad I did. I actually wanted to go back and rewatch the whole thing because, like you said, Goro, it definitely rewards repeat viewings because. Once again, this will be difficult to talk about, so I kind of don't want to give it away. I guess we could do a spoiler section because it's been out for about 6 months on VOD. But
I feel like we have to.
You almost do in order to hit certain things, but you almost don't necessarily.
Yeah.
I'll leave it up to you.
I don't think we need to. I mean, we'll see how the conversation goes, but I don't think we need to because I think we can talk in enough general terms about the movie and some of the things that worked and maybe some things that didn't work. But I do think, like Goro had said, that repeat viewings will benefit this movie because it is, in a way, a bit of a puzzle where there's a twist towards the end, but there are things that happen earlier in the movie that come back later on and make a lot more sense. And just even just subtle imagery, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it absolutely rewards, rewatching it once you sort of have the cut of this movie's jib, so to speak,
Yeah, I mean, when you go back with the viewings, you will notice that each story repeats certain imagery. Each story has little bits into it, and themes. And to give a slight hint onto some people, without giving away anything, as you watch the movie, pay attention to clocks. That's all I'm gonna say.
Interesting. That's actually something I didn't even notice.
I picked up on a few different things throughout the movie. I didn't pick up on clocks, but I definitely saw something that was gonna happen.
Yep.
It completely went the opposite direction of where I thought it was gonna happen. So I was very pleased.
Yeah.
Because this movie was building to something. I was kind of intrigued. I was happy. I was hoping it was going to go somewhere. And when I start building to something, I was like, okay, good. This is going somewhere. It's not just an okay movie. This has the potential to be a good movie.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, man, this is just very predictable. This is going to be boring. This is exactly where holy crap, this is going that way. And it was just like, all of a sudden, it was a completely different movie to me.
Yeah.
And it was a great movie.
Yeah, it turned into something completely different at maybe about the hour
10-minute mark,
yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
About an hour, maybe, yeah.
And because at that point, I'm saying to myself, this is really par for the course. There's really nothing new here, but I had a feeling something was going to happen. Something had to turn this movie around for me to say yes, because if this was an anthology, 3 stories, that means 3 stories, 3
4
films.
in a way, yeah.
Well, 4 if you count the last story.
Wraparound,
Yeah.
sure. All done within the first hour. So it's like, okay, they got to wrap this up somehow in the last half an hour, 40 minutes or so. So there's more to this movie than just an anthology going on.
Yep.
And I know it's cliche. We say it quite a bit. There is a twist in this movie, and it's a twist definitely for the better.
I mean, well, there's a couple little twists.
There's quite a few, yeah.
There is, yeah.
There was one that actually it completely caught me off guard. I don't even know exactly how to say it, and it was a twist, then it untwisted. I
think I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
it's when you see the movie, maybe it makes sense, but to me, I literally went I couldn't believe they did it, and then they undid it, and I was like, okay, I'm in. Where the fuck is this going?
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Are you talking about your vasectomy reversal again?
Talking about Martin Freeman.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because it happened
That
very
was
quickly.
Shocking. Yeah, it was shocking. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
That was my favorite part.
Yeah. So,
I know what you're talking about.
And I think the thing about this, and we can talk in terms of, sort of what this movie did effectively, and I think that between the 3 stories that were told, there's basically 3 cases. There was the case 1 with Tony Matthews, case 2 with Simon Rifkind, and case 3 with Mike Priddle. And Tony Matthews was the Night Watchman. I love that one. I don't know if I could pick a favorite, but that one was definitely up there. The tension that was created and sort of, and this also deals with sort of repressed emotion as well is one of the big themes, or just maybe not emotion, but just repressed feelings, and they're all on display with all these stories. And I thought that was really interesting. And, there's that scene with the mannequins, which I thought was gorgeous.
Super effective.
Yeah, really effective. And it just was really creepy. And granted, they did utilize some jump scares, which I'm always a little dubious of when you get that a lot. But I thought that they were used to good effect in this.
Some of them were, others weren't. Like I don't like the whole music aspect to enhance the jump.
Hate it.
Yeah, there's a lot of audio cues to enhance the
I
jumps,
mean,
yeah.
to a certain
I
degree,
hate
it's
music in
okay.
this movie in general.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, to a certain degree, it's okay, but there were a couple of points where it was too much, or you didn't need it at all. And but I feel that kind of lulled you into that false sense of security that it was the atypical horror movie.
Yep.
The twist caught you even more off guard at that point. If you didn't know what you were getting into at this point, you were just expecting the typical horror movie with the jump scares, and it was a good horror movie at this point.
Yeah.
It didn't reach that great point.
And one of the things I enjoy, at least about the three different cases, is actually the approach to filmmaking. I mean, the first case, it is kind of modern ghost story, very much in the Blumhouse tradition. It's kind of loud like a James Wan movie.
Yep.
In the second one, it's sort of this balls out, almost comedic film.
Yeah.
And then the third one is very much about the long take and the slow build of tension, and all of the effects aren't reliant upon quick edits. They happen pretty practically in front of you.
Though that
and go
there's
ahead.
one thing that happens in that one that I mean I know it's obviously a digital thing, but in watching it kind of blew my mind apart. How
The stacking.
yeah.
Oh yeah. There was a lot of good
Because
stuff
again,
in
it
that.
comes out of nowhere there,
Right.
And it's such a good way to do things, and each of these do show. It's remarkable that that they didn't have different directors for these segments. I know it was the combined talents of Nyman and Dyson, but each one is a very different kind of approach to a ghost story. Though I guess an argument could be made the second one isn't quite a ghost story, but it still sort of fits into that fine folk horror tradition.
Yeah, it definitely. Yeah, I think folk horror is a good way because I like that one a lot too. Like, there's a lot, just the way it looked and the way it was lit on sort of that dark road. I thought that was really effective, and a lot of the stuff leading up to that too. I loved when Goodman went to go visit Simon in his house. Like the house itself was fucking creepy.
Yeah.
Now, does anybody watch Black Mirror?
I've seen a few episodes.
Yeah.
Okay, because the kid from that segment, Alex Lothar, he was in one of the more fucked up episodes of Black Mirror called "Shut Up and Dance."
Okay, I haven't seen that one.
God damn, that one's fucked up.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I thought the second story was my favorite.
Yeah,
simply because of the performance of Lothar.
Hey, he was awesome. Yeah.
Oh, he was fantastic in this movie. His ability to look paranoid and the way he was like shaking.
Yeah.
That looked so like natural, but at the same time completely unnatural. And it just freaked me the hell right out. And as far as the scenes where he's driving, I mean that's the kind of shit you. All right, yeah, I'm terrified of. I mean, you're driving.
While you're driving.
Well, you're driving down a road, wooded area, and you can't get any cell phone
reception.
So you
going
come
on.
into the studio.
Pretty much. I don't think it's that bad.
Well, you know what I'll say about that
But
second
so well lit,
that
too.
second story. I'm actually disappointed that we didn't get to see more of that story. In my head, I saw that going somewhere, like differently, or maybe how they envisioned it. But because it was cut short, I don't know if it's what I thought it was going to happen.
I could actually say that about all three, which is good because they left you wanting more instead of giving you too much. And I thought all three of them, I would have liked to see more.
To a certain degree, yeah, to see how they ended. But I don't know, for some reason that second one just felt like that was like it wasn't just how did this person get out of this? It was what was the
ending?
How did any of them get out of it?
Not necessarily the ending, because it was that felt like the first act of the 3-act story.
Yeah.
Like
Or it's or the question is, how did all of them get out
Yeah,
of there?
well, yeah. I mean, that's
You know,
you're left with that question. But I mean, at the risk of a spoiler, did the first monster, was it really a monster? Did he mean harm?
Well, that's the great ambiguity of it, and why I do enjoy that segment, because you have no idea what the intent of that thing is.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's why I feel like that's more of like you're left at the middle of the story rather than the end of the story with the other two.
Right. Yeah, and I think that was. I mean, obviously there's a I guess a payoff to that question, but you know I like that they kept you wanting more. And then the one with Martin Freeman, who played Priddle, like I thought a lot of that was really effective as well, especially when he went to go check on the crib.
Yep.
And there's that sort of long setup and then the scares in there I thought were really, really effective and really well done.
The scares are rather effective, along with some really practical effects too, which really impressed me.
Yeah,
very little CGI, some very nice makeup effects in this movie. Very good. Some and just like not to spoil it, but let me see. The character that is known as the Hellion in this, it's very reminiscent of
is that the one
Abominable Dr. Phibes.
Is that the one from the second? The Hellion from the second.
I think it's the one from the fourth.
From the fourth, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it reminded me a lot of the Abominable Dr. Phibes, and
I know. Okay, I know what you mean.
With
Okay.
Vincent Price, and the makeup was very reminiscent of that, and I thought that was really, really sweet.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of nice callbacks to, to sort of classic horror filmmaking, but there was also a lot of nods to more modern ones as well, which I think it both manages to be a throwback and sort of a more modern take on things too, which I thought was also interesting.
It worked out really well.
And I have to say, after watching the movie, it made me really want to see the stage play.
Yeah.
Because taking this essential thing and then transforming it, and I've read a synopsis of the play, and you kind of see it working in that context. But the fact that they were just deliberately advertising for a stage play, no one under 15 should see this. There's something about that sort of live entertainment that I think could work really, really well.
And Raven Shadow, I think Raven Shadow and MZ, I think you both have mentioned you like the concept of bringing sort of a stage show to film, right?
Oh yeah, I'm a huge mark for it.
Sure.
So this one to me doesn't seem as much of a translation. I mean, obviously it would need to have set changes and stuff like that. It doesn't translate. Like if I didn't know that it was a stage show, I probably wouldn't have guessed. But it is interesting because it's a character piece where it focuses really on just a handful of characters. So I could totally see it, but I wouldn't have guessed first.
But there are a couple of scenes in this movie that 100% that is taken right from the stage. And,
yeah.
And it watching it on the movie didn't click with me. I loved the visual of it, but then seeing afterwards that taken from a stage play, it's like, oh, that 100% makes sense, and I would love to see that done on stage.
Well, that's interesting. Has there ever been like a horror stage play? I mean, I can't.
I believe it's called Ghost Stories.
But I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Dracula and Frankenstein were originally toured around as plays.
Really?
There was
the opera.
There was
Phantom of the Opera.
right.
Yeah,
there's been tons.
Obviously, the Grand Guignol, which
Joseph for the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Yes.
which
absolutely
Well,
terrifying.
and to look at it in a broader sense, I mean, if you go to a haunted house, and then we're getting into that season, that essentially is a participatory theater.
Right.
You're going through. There's actors in there. You're interacting with them, but it is essentially theater that you're taking part of.
And Barker and his whole crew originally
They all came out of the theater
they originally
tradition,
came out of I think it was the Dogman Theater Group, I think it was called. I forget.
Hellman, Stuart Gordon started in theater.
Right. As well as probably the most famous, which people forget, even though it didn't lose any of its stage presence being translated to film, Very obviously, Rocky Horror Picture Show, which just had an anniversary right now.
And also Graham Skipper he did The Reanimator. He played Jeffrey Combs' character of Herbert West in a stage show of Reanimator.
Oh, all right.
Yep.
I did hear about that.
Did they break down to Dem Dead Bones?
I hope so.
I hope so.
So, I just think it's interesting because, I know you guys like to, it's come up on the show before that you guys sort of like that sort of idea of taking a stage show, translating it to film. So, and they certainly did that here. Bill, I'm curious why you didn't like this movie, because I think that's pretty clear by this point.
Well, the four of you just keep fucking jerking this movie off like Monster Zero at a Tara Patrick convention. So
yeah, nice Tara Patrick reference, Bill.
That's what I'm here for. I mean, you guys talk about how you wanted more from the stories. I see 3 underdeveloped stories that didn't have enough to really engage me. So I'm watching this movie and I'm like, all right, the 3 stories that I've seen are interesting and there's some, interesting stuff going on, but there's just not enough to catch me. And then I come to this realization. I'm like, there's probably some bullshit fucking 360-degree twist coming, and not giving anything away. There's a major twist that completely changes the whole arc of the movie. So I was like, this just isn't for me. I can understand people totally digging this flick, but I just wanted more from the anthology side of things, and thought that they had these stories that they just didn't really have enough, and then they took this other turn with everything, which then negates everything that happened at the beginning. Makes it moot points anyway, because it's just completely. I'm trying not to. I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah.
No, I got you, man. So, for your basic, film going or film appreciation, if you sense there's a twist coming, does that generally decrease your opinion of a film?
I wouldn't say decreases it, but it makes it like a 50-50 shot of like, all right, you got a big twist coming. I can feel it coming. It better be a good payoff.
Okay.
Or it's, okay, great. This all feels really lazy. You didn't have enough to go with the stuff you started with, so you're going to change everything. Third act comes, you're going to flip the script.
Okay.
Now, is it strictly because you see what the twist is? Does the twist have to catch you off guard?
Not necessarily. I mean, some of those twists are, end up being pretty obvious as you watch them, and you're like, yeah, all right. Aries, you actually said it earlier where you're like, oh yeah, okay, this is cool. This is going where I want it to go. But this didn't really go where I wanted it to go.
Well, I mean, it was where I thought it was going to go. I thought it was going to make our sharp right, and I was kind of, because it was so obvious, I was like, this isn't going to rise to the next plateau. But it made a left, and that made it step up.
I felt the opposite. I thought it was a step down, because I was really intrigued by the stories they were telling, and I thought it was going the way of there was going to be connections with the stories, but it was going to kind of tie itself together in a much different. God damn it! I don't want to give it away.
Well, it's fascinating to me, because from what it sounds like you, in your opinion, the films, they attempted to salvage the weak segments with a twist. Whereas my interpretation of it is that all of the segments were ultimately in service of the twist. So it's not as if they just kind of made some half-baked stories and then sort of said, oh, we could just hand wave it all because we're going to throw this twist in there. To me, the way they built it, it feels like it was all leading towards that twist, though you don't realize it at first.
Right. And I think it was, but the twist came, and I was just like, okay, I get it. I see the connections. I see the little pieces. There's some really smart writing in this film. There's no denying that. But there's nothing that bothers me more than that. I'll just use another example that doesn't relate to the movie in any way. That whole the Dynasty, Bobby comes back from the dead.
Dallas shit, yeah.
Yeah, Dallas, not Dynasty. Twists like that where it's just everything I've put into the last, 75 minutes of this movie, they've now completely changed the story on me.
Okay, so were you not a fan of High Tension?
Not upon its original viewing, but subsequent viewing since then, I've actually grown to really love it. Even though I think that the twist in High Tension is probably a much greater flaw than in this.
Okay.
It's complete bullshit, is what you're trying to say.
See, there it is. Well, that's the thing that since this film's come out and I've been able to sample some responses to it, it really seems to come down to your accepting of the twist. Right. And how it reads to you. And it's not really giving anything away for us to say there is a twist, because so much of the appreciation of the film does hinge upon that.
Right.
And, either you're going to like it or you're not. You're going to come down one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, there's certain expectations when you're watching an anthology, right? Like, and I think when those get not necessarily subverted, but when it goes against the grain and does something that's unexpected, that twist, the last 20 to 25 minutes of this movie, it's going to make it or break it for you. Like, I think that, I could see people not liking the lead up to that, the first hour or whatever, like, whatever. Like, it's a matter of opinion as to whether you're going to like it or not, because it's kind of a subtle ghost story with some supernatural shenanigans. And so you're either gonna, you're either on board or you're not. And when it gets to the twist, I could see people going, it's like a fork in the road where you're either on board and you're gonna like this movie even more, or you're just gonna jump off and like, fuck this, I don't like where this went. So I can totally see both sides. For me, it, Mars is gonna love this word. It elevated it for me, and
damn you, Wolfie.
and it made
strong style elbow right there.
Exactly. And it made it better for me because of that. Because, there's so many anthologies that have these fucking weak ass rappers, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Why even bother? You're doing it because you have to. Don't even fucking bother.
Let's be honest, man. Like, horror anthologies of like now in the last few years are really fucking terrible. Like, for every
most of them are, yeah.
Yeah, for every like Trick or Treat or like VHS or like those from the last few years, you can go on Amazon Prime and there's 25 shot on cheap ass video. Like, I can make a horror anthology, they get it on Amazon Prime. Yeah, they're awful. They don't make films like they don't make Creepshow anymore. They don't make Three Extremes and like Tales from the Dark Side. Like, they don't make movies like that anymore. This, as much as the issues I have with this, like, this is interesting at least. Like, there's more to it than just like, as Mars so eloquently said in Survival of the Film Freaks, premiering soon in a city near you.
Hey, there you go.
Every
ABC,
jerk
Bill.
off with a fake knife and a bottle of ketchup thinks they can make a slasher movie. There's a lot more thought in this than just grabbing, some fake blood and a fake knife.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I liked it, but like, I can appreciate the effort put into it.
Well, and I think one thing that attributes to not only the glut, but also some of the lower quality of a lot of horror anthologies coming out from the independent scene is that due to the nature of their construction, where I've heard of plenty of filmmakers that have just taken a bunch of disparate shorts and kind of put a random wraparound in order to bring it all together, even on higher levels. I mean, when you look at something like VHS, there wasn't a central philosophy behind those stories. There's a conceit and there's a wraparound that creates a sort of logic, but there's not really anything that one thing feeds into the other, reinforces what comes up. One thing I do like about Ghost Story is that there is a heck of a lot of internal consistency, and even when one takes into account the twist, there's a thematic consistency.
Yep.
So while there can be a point made about how effective that twist is, and you can't really dispute that, either it works for you or it doesn't, you can make the argument though that, like it or not, it was thematically consistent from beginning to end. They lay out the themes of this film within the first 10 minutes or so, and it's even in the marketing material of it, and the twist is presented to reinforce that theme.
Yeah, no,
That's fair.
Yeah, and I totally agree. That's another thing that I really appreciate about this film is that even when you don't realize it, it's sort of reinforcing those themes until later, and even on subsequent rewatches, you'll realize, oh shit, like I didn't even realize that they were actually, kind of pushing home some of the themes earlier on. Like it's one of those things where when you rewatch it, you'll have like a bunch of aha moments, where like, oh, okay, when in regard to, little sort of like imagery here and there, some of the themes and other stuff, it all sort of is pieces of a puzzle that puts itself together later.
Well, I mean, people seem to be our guests seem to be having problems with the resolution to the individual stories that are happening in this movie. There is a simple explanation to why they end when they do, and I can't really say because there is a spoiler involved in it.
Well, I know where you're coming from.
You could also look at it without even going into spoiler territory. How many times have you either told or heard somebody tell a ghost story? And how many times do those stories actually adhere to a traditional 3-act structure with a satisfying conclusion?
Right. True, yes.
So you could almost make the argument that is kind of like what ghost stories are like in the quote unquote real world.
Yeah, that is. I mean, that is another way of looking at it from what I was trying to get at. But I mean, like I said, I can't really. It is a very simple explanation, and if you want me to explain it, come down to Rock and Shock on whatever weekend we're there, because I don't remember off the top of my head. But
12th and 13th and 14th.
There we go. So come down. If you don't agree with me, I will slap you around until you do.
Well, to tell you what, man, write up your explanation and send it to my show because we're going to be talking about this again, and we're just going to go full spoiler on it.
Full spoiler?
So,
when is this show? Maybe I'll call in. Can I call in?
It's going to come up in a couple weeks, man.
The Innovator of Silence is going to call in.
Hey, Wolfie.
Yeah.
Can I speak on this in public?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Have I let everybody else talk enough? Is anybody going to yell at me? No.
I might yell at you.
But,
Bill might.
No, I'm good.
I liked this movie.
Good.
I didn't love it.
But I didn't love it. And I agree with everything that everyone said on both sides of it, which kind of contribute to that formula of me not loving it. And I think that sometimes it comes down to the admittance that sometimes following through on something's mission statement might just not be satisfying for you. And I did, by that third act, by that third story, especially pick up on that this did have that kind of weird, nonlinear ghost story logic, I guess we'll call it. But it didn't really work for me because as soon as I was interested, the carpet got pulled out. And even though, it did feel that way, it also felt undercooked to me. It felt underdeveloped.
Oh, that's a perfect word for it.
Like the story, like I was so invested in that second story and the different type of mythology and stuff that they used, but it felt like an extended trailer to me.
But you know what? That undercooked aspect of it holds true to my rationale behind the undeveloped story endings.
And I think that we did a video shoot earlier here, and I was talking to our buddy and hype man, Grandizer Funk, and I said that sometimes we watch movies that are that there's nothing the matter with. Like there's nothing wrong with this movie. Like I'm not angry that I watched it, but it didn't keep me invested because I learned that I loved parts of it, but then as soon as I did, we were just moving on to the next thing. And not every anthology has to have like a Tales from the Crypt style punchline or, whatever else. But I love how as soon as I start talking, after not talking for a while, Raven Shadow starts fucking reading a magazine.
But I want to see what the Howling poster looks like.
But at the end of the day, like, at the end of the day, the things that this film did right structurally in the way they wanted to, and the directors following through in their promise, didn't work for me.
You're putting it back now. What the fuck? You don't like that one?
Wow. 15 seconds and you got the whole jib of that magazine.
Yeah.
No, I just
And
stopped talking so you could just say Bombaleo or whatever.
And-
I'm just saying here, fucking Goro.
And we wonder why Fangora went out of business.
What does that mean?
You know what that means.
I don't know. Did you buy the new? If you bought before the 11th, you could have got the first issue of the new Fangoria.
I think I'm the only one that bought it.
In the world.
That's
no,
why it went
no,
out of
in this
business.
room.
Hey, I was on the fairs, man.
The fairs?
The welfares.
So I think we've done enough talking about this in terms of, getting to the point, getting to the sort of the heart of the matter. Like, this is a really well-made film, and I think even Bill, who didn't, may have liked this film the least out of all of us, definitely can appreciate the what they did with it and the fact that it was sort of cohesive. And, so I think that, I know Andy Nyman has done some stuff, and the other director, let me get his name here, Jeremy Dyson, he has done some TV mostly, I believe, but I don't know that he's done much in the way of film stuff. But I think that this is
he's coming out of League of Gentlemen, which if you haven't seen that, oh good lord, you need to.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I've heard a lot
You
of good
should.
things. Yeah.
It's so demented.
So there's certainly, a lot of it's really well made. Like this is it's filmed well. Like everything, like it's written well. There's a lot about it that's positive. So if people are on the fence about whether or not they're going to enjoy it, at the very least, this is a well-made movie. It's everything that you'd expect from a film is there. It's got a good score. It's good sound design. It just looks good, and I like that each short, or each story sort of has its own feel. Sort of as Goro alluded to earlier, is that each one sort of has a kind of a different take on the ghost story. So so I think they did a really good job with this, and your mileage may vary because with the twist and the way the story goes, you're either on board or you're not. So, I could see this being, I tend to do this. I know Mars always asks me why, but I go through IMDb just to sort of get, take the temperature of what the layman would think of this movie. And a lot of people hated the twist, and some people thought it was brilliant. But I would say 3/4 of the people really disliked the direction that this movie went.
I didn't care for the twist.
Yeah, which, but I appreciated it regardless. I mean, did you appreciate it, Mars? Because we talk about a lot of the anthologies that we see.
I feel like in the same way that I felt at High Tension, I felt ripped off. Like I didn't feel tricked. I felt like, well, fuck me. Fuck me for being invested in any of this. And how did she blow herself with a severed head?
Ooh.
That's a different movie, but I'm still mad about that
like,
High Tension.
I'm waiting for that.
She imagined blowing herself with a severed head. She didn't literally blow herself with a severed head.
Yeah, well, then why did we have to watch it?
Wait, blow herself?
Oh, good lord. You realize none of the movies you watch are actually real, right? They're just imaginations.
Wait, what?
That's not true. I've Sloth and Chunk go to the convenience store. I go to every single week. That's a real movie.
Hey, let me pose this question to everybody. Do you think calling this movie a horror anthology kind of does it a disservice?
Yes.
Because it so deliberately embraces the tradition of the horror anthology, then I don't think it's doing it a disservice.
I think it depends on the viewers.
It really depends on it. Yeah.
Man, that's a good
I
question.
feel
really
comfortable
don't know.
calling it. I feel comfortable calling it a horror anthology, but it's one that definitely plays around with the format.
Yeah, this is a different kind of anthology that all of us are really used to. Because it's more than just the anthology. There's also
this is sort of more like, I hate to relate it to a different type of movie, but it's sort of more like Pulp Fiction, right? In a way.
Intertwined stories.
Yeah, intertwining stories, where it all sort of leads to a finale in a way.
I think by calling it...
Treat did the same thing, I mean.
But by calling this an anthology, I think it would turn off a lot of people. They think they're getting
I think
into something bigger than it is.
You might be right. Yeah, I think you might. You know what? You're right. The idea of just calling this a flat-out anthology is going to mess with some people, and they're not going to appreciate it too much.
Have I seen the last one? Do I need to watch 5 more? What's going on? Like,
Because I can't think of another anthology style horror film where the quote unquote wraparound story ends up being such an integral part of what everything is. I can't think of another movie like that.
No.
Well, didn't the Amicus Tales from the Crypt use kind of like that?
Not to the level that this does.
Yeah,
not to the
kind
same level. No.
Yeah, that was kind of a backdrop.
But that's actually one
very
thing.
Loose.
One thing that we've talked about on the show in the last couple months is we want people to subvert those expectations, right? Like mostly it's in regard to tropes. Like for instance, we've talked about this with like the military always playing badass like fuck faces, and where we get the same sort of things, and we want them to do something different with these roles, or and we've talked about that in terms of I think The Night Eats the World. We talked about using someone else's mythology, using Romero's zombie mythology to use sort of to advance your story. We've talked about these things where using what's come before you as shorthand, and in this case I think it definitely takes that horror anthology and kind of subverts your expectations. But for me it worked out positively, but I could see people getting upset with that because they want a horror anthology. This ends up being more of a cohesive story where it's all linked together a little bit more, and the pieces sort of all come together at the end. So once again, I think it's very much like your mileage is going to vary on this one depending on what you think about going in or what you expect.
Yeah. And I think the mood you are in when you take it in the first time probably affects it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And but I think this one, that's why I always sort of want more from horror anthologies. Like something like ABCs of Death, I'm not expecting. I understand that each person is telling a different story based on a letter of the alphabet. That one I don't expect anything else from. But
sure.
Something like VHS, some of those rappers are just real loose and not that great. And there's some others that we've watched. I can't recall. I don't know. We watched one fairly recently. Was it the Dark Tapes or something like that? I think that, like,
oh yeah.
But there's some others that are just really weak rappers.
Dark Tapes is awful.
Yeah, it wasn't good, and that's why I really appreciate what they did here, because it sort of takes your expectations of what the horror anthology film does, and definitely turns it on its head a little bit. And in this case, it's not really a horror anthology in a way. It's sort of a cohesive story that just takes different forms. So that I did appreciate. So once again, I think as we go to the verdicts here, we may hear some sort of varying degrees of treats, but I think for the most part, most of us are going to like it. But let's get that verdict, and I guess we'll find out for sure what everyone thought.
Trick or treat, baby.
I wonder if people would say you're a trick or a treat.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
All right, it is verdict time. We're going to let you know whether this flick was a trick or a treat, and any final thoughts that we may have. Marsman.
I liked this movie. Now, I mean, I would go as far. I'm not going to call it a tepid treat, because I think that there was enough here that I'm interested to go back and watch it again. I would say, what I am going to call it a tepid treat. I'm sorry. I wouldn't I'm hard pressed to find anything the matter with this film, because I feel like what it didn't engage me. There are plenty of things out there that are perfectly fine that just aren't for me, and this happened to be one of those things.
Mm-hmm. All right, MZ.
Yeah, I'm right on board with Mars, dude. That I'm gonna say that this is also a tepid treat. some really great performances. It's shot very well. Nice little twist, and a couple of twists actually. But
The two taps and a twist.
I felt that at times the anthology stories themselves felt a little tired. Nothing that we haven't seen before. Couple of decent scares, but again, nothing like we haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And after the twist, it just got. It was interesting, but I think what I have to do is give it another watch, like we've been talking about before.
Yeah.
To really try and understand what the hell is going on here. That being said, I will say that this is as well a Tepper treat.
All right, Aries.
I really enjoyed this movie. This definitely is within my top 10 of the year.
Wow.
I would definitely want to see this again to take in everything now that I know everything about the movie. There is something to be said by the simple fact that watching this movie, they weren't breaking any new ground with everything that was happening before the twist, that it was still a good movie up until that point. And then the twist that, at least me, it caught me completely off guard. Not that the twist was going to happen, that they twisted left when I thought they were going to go right. And you know what? I can enjoy a movie that I can predict, but I love a movie that I don't predict.
Mm-hmm.
So this is definitely a treat for me.
All right, and obviously, Raven Shadow, we know you had internet issues. You weren't able to watch the entirety of the movie, but from what you saw,
I was able to get through
about halfway.
Yeah, the first full story and the start of the second one, and I really wanted to get to the Marty
Raven
Freeman.
Shadow, do you know what the twist was? Did anyone tell you what happened?
No.
Yeah, Bruce Willis is dead.
Well, I'm wondering if he hasn't seen it and no one's told him. I'm wondering if he can actually guess where it's going to go.
No, actually, I don't know what the twist is. I don't.
Everybody's modem dies.
Yeah. Does it involve the dude like an angel?
We're not going to tell you, so don't guess.
He fucking is asking me a question.
Yeah, and we said we're not going to spoil it.
He won.
I didn't want you to spoil it. I was just curious if you thought you knew where it was going to go.
Well, I didn't see it, so I can't spoil what I haven't seen. And you're an award-winning filmmaker, so I'm listening to Bill. Okay, Johnny?
Well, I'm the fucking producer. I got to turn your mic off. So
that was just a simple yes or no whether you could figure out
Yeah.
what we were talking about.
Now, Aries is the fucking producer. He must make films, too.
Co-producer.
He's a producer of Fear.
Yeah. Ooh. Someone's getting
that
a
a
new
good title?
Yeah.
Write that down.
Yeah, see, it's fun, isn't it?
Get rid of the silent shit and
Yeah. But I don't know. I want to feel. I think I might know what it is, but I don't know. This movie was fine.
You don't know what it is. I'm just.
Then I guess why the fuck couldn't I say what I thought
I don't
it
think
was?
any of us saw it coming. So you're not going to see it.
If you say you saw it coming, you're full of shit.
This fucking sucks, Goro. It's like I'm fucking married again, but this time I got fucking 6 fucking wives. Unfucking
and you're not getting any.
Yeah, I'm like a fucking Mormon. What the fuck?
Do you want some?
You want some?
Oh, wowie.
You want some beard?
Yeah.
Want some beard action?
I do like Italian girls, but I think no. This movie was like going out with a girl. Like the girl was fine, just the date was horrible. The shitty food, couldn't find a parking spot.
What's fucking transpiring?
So
he's relating a horrible date to his modem shit in the bed.
Thank you, Johnny.
Okay,
Johnny
I just thought he
speaks
didn't see it.
No, I saw the room. The kid had the metal music. And
All
stuff.
right, you don't have to. We got it. All right.
He's put me on a spot. Bill's asking me questions. Goro's not helping. Aries is fucking talking. Sucks.
Listeners,
You can
look
do
at
it
my
fine by yourself, man. You got
listeners, look at my fucking dope new shoes.
Those are some pretty nice kicks there.
You got to show the other side. No one cares about the fucking bottom.
Yeah, but I can't lift my leg that way.
Take it off.
Look at your socks too. You're like fucking Walk from Walk socks right there, or like.
Just take it off and show people.
Those are nice.
Yeah, this is my new Dynamo live show shoes.
Show the
Dynamo
Dude,
kicks.
it's 11:30. I'm going home in a minute. I'm tired.
You're gonna fucking leave again?
You're gonna walk in those shoes. You're gonna ruin
Yeah.
it.
Think you're gonna go anywhere with only one shoe?
Yeah.
Hide this.
Click those heels 2 times. You'll be a fucking never.
That won't be any different for him.
These are nice. Can I put these on?
Yeah, try it on.
What size foot are you?
Raven Shadow sized.
All right, let's go to Bill by Force.
I'm not going to watch this.
What are we talking about? What happened?
I want your verdict, Bill. Jesus.
I want to see if they fit.
So,
hold on.
It's going to turn into a pumpkin after.
Bill can give his fucking verdict. Jesus Christ.
It's no Survival of the Film Freaks, to tell you that much.
not the original Survival of the Film Freaks. That's for sure. Yeah, I'm hard pressed, just kind of like Mars and Zero. So like, I'm hard pressed to say anything really like bad about this because there's nothing inherently wrong with this movie, and that's like
I hear Shocky those.
Bill's fucking talking. He is an award-winning filmmaker, and you just cut him off.
I don't care.
Oh,
You
Bill,
don't care?
You can smack him.
Bill,
next
don't
time you see him.
Don't host the show now.
Wow.
Maybe I'll just go home now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where are you?
Shut up. What the hell was I saying?
Exactly. I'm
Said two
sorry.
rules
I'm
about a
sorry,
guy.
Bill. I'm so unprofessional on the show.
2 taps.
You're hard pressed to say anything bad about the film.
Thank you, Goro. Always the voice of reason, like God coming down from the skies. Jesus. Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with it. It's actually very well written for what it is. I just I felt like the way that the 3 short stories fed themselves into the big twist, it didn't catch me, and I didn't care. And then when they give this big reveal, you're supposed to have this oh shit emotional connection to things, and I'm just like, oh fuck, that really sucks because I really wish they went a different way with it. So I mean, I'm gonna recommend it. I'm gonna say that it's a treat because I think this is definitely a movie that people have to see for themselves to decide whether it's something they're into or not.
Yep.
Me not being into a lot of British horror stuff didn't really, set me up to be really psyched about it because it's so inherently British. But I love British comedy, so I don't know. I'm just a weirdo. But yeah, I think people need to check it out for themselves. So I can't. What did I say? I can't say that it's a trick because it's not. I just didn't particularly. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah. Bill, you're our weirdo.
Got to be somebody's, right?
All right, El Goro.
All right. As you can probably tell, this is definitely a treat for me. The first time I watched it, the point where I could really get into it was, curiously enough, for the opposite of Bill, that I am a huge fan of British horror films. And there was something about the familiarity of tone and just general presentation that, it's when you come across things that you enjoy and that you have background in, it's like a comfortable sweater, for lack of a better expression. And this is a film that is very much aware and cognizant of the tradition in which it's aping or homaging.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with so many films that have a twist, repeated viewings is always going to be based upon your response to said twist. If it doesn't work for you, that can limit your enjoyment of going back to and watching it again because it seems to invalidate what has come before. Conversely, sometimes you will find a twist that you do like, but then you notice the rest of the film doesn't necessarily back it up. It's an enjoyable enough twist, but it's more of a gimmick than an actual storytelling device. For me, what this film did when going back and watching it the second time, it only improved my estimation of the film because it fundamentally transformed the narrative. What initially started out as a fun collection of little ghost stories that worked very much in the old school Amicus tradition, it essentially became a singular piece, an exploration of tone and atmosphere that built upon itself in its own consistent internal logic and became just a greater film with full knowledge of what it was and what it is saying. So to me, it accomplished something that many twist-based films have never been able to do, insofar actually improving your experience once you know the twist. So it's definitely a treat for me, and it's certainly in the running of my favorite films of the year.
Yeah,
Goro, ignorant slut.
and
Dan Aykroyd told me.
Yeah, and I'm pretty much on board with you, Goro, and I did really enjoy this, and I didn't watch the entire thing twice, but I watched the last half hour again, and even just rewatching that, I feel like it was really rewarding, and maybe that is, to some people that could be seen as a failing of the film for it to not, for you to not remember these sort of telltale signs that happened earlier, but they're so subtle. And I think there's a reason for that. Without giving anything away, I think there's a reason for these subtle touches, because you're not supposed to realize the first time through that, why things are happening. So, I thought that was a really nice touch, and I think the movie is a good watch the first time through, but if you do go back and subsequently rewatch it, I do think that it rewards you quite a bit. Now, I could see, the other side of the coin. I could see people saying, well, hey, if I can't get everything on the first viewing, then it's a failing of the filmmakers. But, but I also really enjoy it, and not even just in film, but in music and in comics and other things. I love just having those sort of moments where you go back and there's things that you missed the first time, and you're like, oh shit, like I see how that contributes to the overall picture now, and that's something that I really appreciate. And it's something. The funny thing is, for me, I listen to music. I can re-listen to albums over and over and over, like, many times. But when it comes to movies, I typically don't rewatch movies all that often unless I really love a movie. So for me, it's more about substance, because a lot of times films, I think, are just kind of a one view thing. You kind of take what you want from it, and then you move on. And then if you want to go back and rewatch it later, then that's cool. But for me, film isn't something that I rewatch as often as I know other people do. Whereas with music, I go back and listen to stuff over and over and over because I love it, or it gives me it gives me a certain feeling, or I remember a time when I listened to it in the past, or whatever. I associate more emotion and feelings with music than I do with movies. But for me, I think that this does a good job, and I could see myself revisiting this one, even though it may be in my top 13 at the end of the year. I don't know. At this point, it's hard to tell because we watched a lot of good stuff, so I'm not positive if it's going to end up in that top 13, but it left enough of an impression on me that I definitely will want to go back and rewatch this, because there's a lot of reason to, and there's a lot of things that you'll pick up on. So, and in that sense, it's almost like a scavenger hunt, like a visual scavenger hunt, going back and rewatching and finding things that you didn't notice the first time or second time or even third time. So for me, this is a really successful film, and I really enjoyed what they did, sort of the twist on the horror anthology. So I would say most people will probably dig this, but I do think that twist is going to make or break it for some people. So some people are going to be on the fence and not dig it. Other people are going to love it. So, but I would definitely say that this is worth a watch, especially if this ends up popping up on any of the streaming services. Then definitely give it a watch. But if you're on the fence, maybe hold off. But it is available on DVD, Blu-ray now, and also VOD. So that's Ghost Stories for you. So most of us liked it, I'd say. I don't think we got any tricks, did we?
No.
So
No.
just varying degrees of treats. Some people, it worked more than others. So you can use your own judgment on Ghost Stories. And for next week, I'm excited about next week. We're going to be doing sort of two films. Now, first up, we're going to be doing the latest release from Artsploitation. Now, Artsploitation has treated us well for the most part, except for those are
fucking bad ones.
That last one, I can't even remember the name of it. Phobia, Taste of Phobia.
Oh, that fucking sucks.
It's the only movie I never. I don't think I'm still not sure if I finished it or not.
Damn, I forgot all about that movie.
Yeah, it's too bad that's one of the ones that just didn't really work for us. But other than that, Artsploitation has a really good track record of the films that we've done on the show, especially films like Der Samurai, and even to a lesser degree Horsehead. I know some of you guys didn't like it. I really liked it, but yeah. So we've had some decent luck with Artsploitation. But they have a new film that they're releasing at the beginning of October. I believe it is. Let's see, is October 2nd or 3rd? I believe is when it's dropping. So sometime next week, early October, you can look for the movie Molly. I'm trying to pull it up on IMDb, but it just wants to show me Molly Ringwald.
That's fair. Nothing wrong with that.
I'm sure Mars is fine with that, right?
I fucking forgot
I
my
love Molly Ringwald.
I know you do. All right, so Molly, yeah, here we go. So
She has a great recurring character on the new Riverdale show that's out.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah.
I like Archie too. So
That show is like so bizarre because it is so fucking dark. Like, it's the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, I've heard good things too. I haven't seen it though. All right, well, Molly is it's from the Netherlands, and it's an English speaking film, but it sounds pretty interesting. The synopsis: a girl living alone in a post-apocalyptic wasteland finds herself hunted down by marauders who want her to fight in their fighting pit for their entertainment. So it definitely, post-apocalyptic sort of world.
She'll be taking on the Rancor, I take it then.
The Rancor? Yeah.
The Rancor?
That's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Not post-apocalyptic.
Do you know where Rancors are from?
Walmart?
Mars doesn't like the answer to that question. So this looks cool. It looks fairly low budget, which is kind of par for the course for artsploitation, but it looks like it's pretty well executed. And just watching the trailer, it reminds me a bit of Turbo Kid in the sense that they didn't have a huge budget for that, the post-apocalyptic setting, and I think that I don't know if it plays up on any of the themes of that, but that's what kind of it evoked for me a little bit when I saw the trailer. So we're going to do Molly. And then also...
I'm looking at the post art from Molly.
Bill.
I heard that laugh, Bill.
Yeah.
They're going to do Molly, huh? Should be an interesting show.
Oh, yeah, I'll do some of that.
I'm looking at the post art from Molly, and looks pretty awesome.
This one here? Or another one?
There's 3 of them I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, we are going... Well, most of, if not all of us, we're still trying to figure out the logistics of it, but... Next Wednesday is the start of the Sean O'Shea Film Festival, and the opening night feature is The Ranger, which I got a chance to check out at Boston Underground Film Festival and really enjoyed, and I've been talking it up and I want these guys to see it. And since it's opening the Sean O'Shea Film Festival and we need to get out to that, we are going to coordinate to go appear to take it in and to watch The Ranger, and then afterwards we're going to immediately leave the festival to come record. So if you guys watch live, I know we're normally a few minutes late anyways, but we're going to be coming directly from the screening to the studio. So bear with us on the live show. We might be a little bit more than 10, 15 minutes late. I'm not sure yet. So
Well, is the Bull Mansion... How far is that from you guys?
It's about 20 minutes. So if the movie starts right at 7, which I don't know if there's any shorts before it or anything, but the film I believe is 90 minutes. So we'll leave as soon as the movie's over, and so I'm not positive, but we should get here about 9-ish.
It's essentially as far as where I'm coming from.
Yeah, it's 20 minutes, right?
Well, no, I mean it's about traffic and stuff.
Traffic at 9 p.m.
Yeah. Nope, before that.
There's lights.
He's thinking when it starts.
Right. When I leave.
8:35.
Yeah.
There's traffic?
Yeah.
Where?
Roads.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Johnny has a fucking hover car.
I thought I taught you how to drive better than that.
Well, yeah. Well, what the fuck? Space-time, fucking how you get from one place to a fucking other. So picture how long I get here. That's how long it takes you to get here from there.
If there's a car in your way, go around it.
Yeah. So much you're tired.
Well, so that's what we're going to do, all right? I'm not sure when we're going to start, but as soon as we get back to the studio, we're starting. So, and then we will talk a little bit about The Ranger. It'll be kind of a bonus discussion. So I know it's not available to view on VOD, so I know other folks out there can't. So we'll do more of sort of a preview of it, I guess. We won't do an in-depth discussion, but we'll sort of talk about our feelings about the film, and you guys can hear about that. So that's what's up for next week. And also, Mars, we have a guest next week. Is that confirmed?
Next week, Bill by Force and Dynamo Mars bring you the greatest guest since this week. I'm talking about Bill and El Goro. They were this week. But next week, we have from the City of Sin, Las Vegas, Nevada, Cinema Therapy, filmmaker Jimmy Gonzalez.
That's really Ominous, man.
Thanks.
So yes,
Either ominous or really lazy.
one or the other. So next week we
Why is
will
it
be
lazy?
joined by Jimmy Gonzalez.
What a mean Bill.
If you haven't seen his movie The Red Man, it's currently streaming on Amazon Prime.
Oh, no
If you're
shit.
into Italian psychological horror stuff, it's good. It's really good.
Awesome, and obviously Jimmy is also in Survival of the Film Freaks.
He is, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Not that I'm going to bring that up.
well, I did for you. So we will have Jimmy on next week, and then we're also going to talk about Molly and also talk a little bit about the Ranger and our experience at the Shawnee Film Festival. So, well, we need to we're going to head to a quick break. We come back, we get just a handful of voicemails. I know it's getting late, and if either of you guys need to leave, but, no problem.
Yeah, I'm going to jump off. My dog looks like he's going to float away.
Yeah, I should probably get off as well.
You guys are going to get
Yeah,
out?
see, I knew somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get off with each other.
I
Together,
was
you
expecting
guys.
Bill to jump all over that.
Yeah, you
but
guys
he's
want
not.
you guys want us to
I
leave?
feel kind of
You-
sad now.
You guys could stay on the line together while you do that.
That's a fucking Patreon.
That's a Patreon.
Meanwhile, at the OTC Club.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, Bill, why don't you go ahead and once again tell people, I don't know, whatever you want to tell them, where they could follow you on social media, anything you want.
Let's if you like movies like we do, you can listen to Outside the Cinema. Starting next week, we're doing Cage-tober, all Nicolas Cage, all October.
Nice.
Starting with Snake Eyes and Bad Lieutenant Protocol, New Orleans, and then we're going to finish the month out with Mandy, so we can give it a little bit of time between, because I know you guys did your review last week and a bunch of shows jumped on it, so we're going to give it a few weeks, but we definitely looking forward to covering that. But yeah, we're going to cover all kinds of Cage stuff, so Outside the Cinema drops every Wednesday sometime in the afternoon normally.
Cool. And if you guys are anywhere near any of the Survival of the Film Freak screenings, definitely go check them out and go up and talk to Bill and let him know what you think of the movie if you get a chance to see it.
Yeah, we can make out. It'll be sweet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's super hot. And El Goro, let people know where they can find Talk Without Rhythm and anything else you need to discuss.
All right. Well, if you want to hear more of me, you can listen to the podcast Talk Without Rhythm. Movie Discussion Podcast can be found at TWORpodcast.blogspot.com. The next episode I have on the dock, which should be releasing this Sunday, is the capper for my Carpenter for Cody series, where I'm going to be discussing Escape from New York and Escape from L.A. Those were two big ones, so I didn't want to kind of put them behind the paywall. Wanted to make them available to everybody. So that's finally going to be discussed. And in October is the time when I go a little bit nuts, because it's going to be the 9th annual 31 Days of Halloween over on Talk Without Rhythm.
Yeah.
For those that aren't aware of it, every day during the month of October, I find a horror film that I've never seen. I watch it and record a brief podcast about it. Got a good listing of horror films to fill out this season, going all the way back to 1934's The Phantom of the Convent from Mexico.
Oh,
and
nice. You just did that on OTC.
Oh, nice. I did not even realize that, brother.
You missed Mexploitation Month.
I missed Mexploitation Month, man. I'm sorry. But yeah, it should be interesting, and then going all the way up to a film to be released this year, and yeah, it's about 84 years worth of horror history, and it should all be first time watches for me, and that's on top of the regular episodes, which is all going to be horror related because it is October. And I'm going to be bringing on a bunch of interesting guests to help me talk down some movies, including another discussion of Ghost Stories, because I enjoy that film, and I look forward to the opportunity to talk about it with more people.
So if you guys want the intelligent discussion, go check out.
Oh, fuck off. This was a fun conversation, and everybody brought up good points.
Thanks for calling me dumb.
I didn't call you dumb.
So everyone go check out, and Goro will probably get about 10 hours sleep total in October, it sounds like now. So
something about that, because in between podcasting and there's all the other fun shit that happens in October. So yeah, I had to actually make up a schedule. It's going to be absolutely insane.
I haven't technically seen your schedule, but I know what your schedule consists of, so I know it's pretty nuts. So speaking of schedules, I think you both have been very busy, so I thank you guys for coming on, hanging out with us. Obviously, it's always a pleasure. We love you, both of you dudes. And I can't wait to. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see El Goro anytime soon, but looking forward to seeing your pretty face, Bill. We'll see you at
Yeah, you guys are gonna be sick of me by the time we get past Rock and Shock.
Impossible.
It's funny you say that. The joke's on El Goro. I gotta live somewhere.
That is true.
Well, we do have a room that's just devoted to kittens, so you could probably curl up in there.
That'd be like your favorite room.
It would be.
Yeah.
True.
All right, so we will see Bill soon. So we'll see you soon, Bill, and obviously we'll be talking to you, Goro, again soon. And good luck.
I'll see you on the chat.
Yeah, good luck on 31 Days. We'll be keeping an ear out for that. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on those flicks. So everyone go check out Talk Without Rhythm, especially the 31 Days coming up, and then also go listen to Outside the Cinema and or look for a screening of Survival of the Film Freaks in your neck of the woods. And we thank these guys, and we're going to be right back, and we're going to wrap things up. We got a couple voicemails, and then we're going to say goodbye. So thank you.
Hasta luego, mi amigos.
Thank you, Bill.
Adios.
Thank you, Goro.
You go through your week with the same old routine.
What you really want is some blood and thunder in your life.
Well, friend, you found it. The Cromcast is an adventurous journey through the history of two-fisted pulp stories
with your hosts John,
Josh,
and Luke.
We have action,
horror,
and adventure, all through the lens of pulp luminary Robert E. Howard.
Don't just stay in your ordinary life.
Find your pulp life at thecromcast.blogspot.com.
The Cromcast.
The Cromcast.
The Cromcast.
A podcast for the barbarian at heart.
This is Matt Kennedy of Astron 6. You might know me as Manborg. You might know me as Father John Sullivan in Father's Day. But what's important right now is that you're listening to Trick or Treat Radio.
Oh, delicious nerds. Ms. M knows you like to chat it up with other sexy shut-ins about comics, movies, video games, and your favorite TV shows. If that sounds like you, cuddle up to the Trick or Treat Radio Facebook group, or the FIB. That stands for Fan Interaction Board. Just go to Facebook and search for Trick or Treat Radio and have more fun than a Jedi at a lightsaber sale. Not enough? Watch us on YouTube, The Deadites TV, all one word. Last but not least, check out the world's most dangerous talk radio show, Trick or Treat Radio, at trickortreatradio.com.
I can tell you I'm never coming back on this show. Especially now that I did that thing that you just didn't do. Which I will be sending you an invoice for.
Return. It's just me and MZ.
Yep, everyone left.
Way it should be.
They heard that Goro and Bill by Force took off, and they decided to take off with them.
Yep. Well, Mars did take off, so he was
For
getting
real,
a
yeah.
headache. So, all right, well, we got some voicemail.
All right, well, let's...
We'll wind things down
Do
here.
it up.
I feel bad. I've been abandoning the chat room because there's just so much going on that I wasn't able to keep up. But let's see if there's anything. First time Mike is hanging out now, and he says, I'm eagerly awaiting 31 Days of Halloween, El Goro. Corny says,
all
good
are.
night. We had Chromcast Josh. Let's see. Yeah, a bunch of people hanging out, so
Yeah.
appreciate you guys always. So now let's play some voicemail.
Oh, boy.
All right, well, why don't we first up, let's hear from Arkham Josh.
Hey.
Hey, Trick or Treat Radio guys, it's Arkham Josh here. Just giving a little call in about this week's film, Ghost Stories. Guess I'll dive right into it. I'm just gonna say Ghost Stories was okay. I mean, it looks really good, it's got a good cast, but I think they were just trying to shove too much into it, and it just never fully grabbed me. I never thought it was scary. I don't think there were any jumps. I don't know. I'm just thinking like there were too many compartmentalized sections of the movie. You know, we start off with the introductory investigation, then we move on to the other set of investigations, and then to the finale, and I think like nothing was ever enough to really fully engage me. I don't know, maybe if there were just less parts, you know, like maybe if he was just given like one or two other people's stories to investigate, and then you kind of saw how it played into his life, you might have been able, maybe they would have gotten a little more in-depth on it, and it would have grabbed my attention a bit more. I don't know, but overall, I'm going to say that it is a quality production that just didn't work for me. So, I'm going to say barely a trick. Can't really recommend it, but I guess if it pops up on like, you know, Netflix or Hulu or something, and you're curious, you might as well watch it. It's not a very long movie. And like I said, it's not really a bad movie. It just didn't work for me. So, I don't know, curious to see what you guys think of it. I think the most interesting stuff is all in that back end, but I didn't really want to discuss any of that, you know, for spoilers and whatnot. So, I don't know. I look forward to hearing the show, and you guys have a good one. Bye.
All right, well, didn't necessarily work for Josh, but, you know.
Well, you know, I think a lot of it had, you know, and we've talked about it before, a lot of it plays into the fact that it's a very, very British film. And it obviously this would cater to a very, very British audience who
is not us.
Is definitely
No,
not us.
This doesn't necessarily cater to a very British audience.
I don't think it caters to it, but I think if you...
It was made for a British audience because they would understand this a little. Either they would understand it more or they would appreciate it more.
Well, I just think that they're more in tune with that, you know.
Is there
Yeah, but
language
we
barrier?
understand. Yeah, but I mean, you know, 75% of us understand British horror.
Which 25%?
Who's the 25 that doesn't? Look behind you.
Fuck, it's not like it's fucking. It's
I'm behind him.
No,
Are
you're
you
not.
accusing me? Yeah,
You're
I
behind
am.
me. And
I'm aside of you.
All right, so you're aside. Will you stop throwing semantics?
25% of this group doesn't understand placement of people.
MZ is fucking.
And,
fucking
and
math.
obviously, all our listeners are entitled to their own opinions, but Josh is now banned from the program.
Wow.
Oh, no, I'm
Well,
sorry.
that's awfully nice of you.
Wow.
So thank you, Josh, and looking forward to. I think we're going to see you at Rock and Shock at some point.
I hope so, man. I miss that dude.
Yeah, I know he's not going to be there. Unfortunately, he's not programming the film fest because it's
Yeah.
not happening this
Yeah,
year.
that sucks.
Which is a shame because they could be showing Survival of the Film Freaks
Yep.
and.
But nope, they don't want to do that.
Well,
So
I think they dropped the ball on booking it. So
yeah.
But, hey, things happen. So, all right, well, let's hear from... I'm trying to remember. I don't remember if we've heard... Yeah, we've heard from him before, actually, because we tried to give him a nickname, and it just didn't go over. It's Justin, who I think we were trying to give him a... like Just Incredible or Just in Time or Just in Case.
I think he left us. He wrote to us.
Oh,
this is his first verbal.
Okay, you could be right because I do recall he had sent us something. But let's hear from Justin.
He's my dude.
Hey guys, this is Justin. Finally calling in for my first time ever. And after roughly 7 months of listening to you guys consistently every day at work, which is a lot more than I'd like to admit, I finally listened to every single episode.
Oh, we're sorry.
Holy shit.
We are real sorry.
We're sorry, Justin, first
We're
of all.
so sorry.
We're sorry for
Do
that
we have
first
a
200
ribbon
episodes.
for him or anything?
Yeah, we need something, right?
8 by 10.
8 by 10? You're going to send it to him?
You're gonna send
You know
it.
how to ship stuff?
Right.
Oh, yeah, you do know how to do that.
I do,
He's
yeah.
not going to listen
You have
anymore.
experience with that.
I will, yeah.
We need a sound effect or something. Is it what do we do for someone who listens? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the sexy dicks were cute for a minute.
Let's see. Let me see if there's anything in here.
Dear God, no!
There you go.
That's pretty
That's
apropos.
probably the most apropos.
Trick!
So there you go, Justin. Well, that's first of all, it's fucking insane. But second of all, that's
Thank you.
kind of awesome. Yeah, thank you. That you'd actually like us enough to listen to 322 fucking
But
episodes.
you know, we
oh wait,
haven't
there's
heard-
more. There's episode 0. There's the Halloween show. There's the year-end shows. All that
the
stuff.
Star
And then,
Wars
but you know what?
specials.
We haven't heard
Star
the
Wars
rest of
specials.
his. We haven't heard the rest of his.
I know.
I
Yeah.
mean, well,
so-
I mean, he's listened and then he called in afterwards.
Right.
So that's
right.
Oh, okay.
Maybe he's like, yeah, I can't listen to you guys ever again. That's the part where
this
it comes.
may be the proverbial finger. Yeah.
Ooh, and with that said, fuck off.
All right, let's continue.
But even after listening to every episode, I still got a few questions for you guys.
All right.
9.5
So
inches.
for Mars and Wolfie, my question for you two, why the hell did you guys never even mention Journey to the West 2? The first one was one of the best movies you guys ever reviewed, but it stops there. And for some reason, I really feel like if Tiny was still there, you would have done that one.
Oh.
My next question.
Well, pause it right there, Justin. We'll hit all of them. A Journey to the West. Honestly, I didn't know it came out.
Yeah. That was the one that had like the dude like riding on like the giant like sea beast, right? They have a big ocean battle.
Yeah. At the beginning, yeah. I love Journey to the West. So let's see. So Sui Hark directed it. I love Sui Hark, and Stephen Chow did the first one, which I'm a big fan of Stephen Chow. That's probably why, because I tend to follow Stephen Chow, and the fact that he didn't direct it might have been the reason. And it doesn't look like he's even in it, is from what I can tell. I don't see his name here. So he did write it. He did co-write it. So he did get a writing credit on it. But I don't know. I do love Sui Hark. So maybe this is one that
when did it come out?
2017. I don't know if that's when it hit VOD or if that's festivals, but so it's Journey to the West, The Demons Strike Back. So, well, there you go, Justin. I didn't even know it had come out, and I think that the reason is probably because Stephen Chow didn't direct it. So that could be why. Let me check to see what Stephen Chow has been up to, because I try to keep tabs on him. And what was the last thing? So yeah, he did Journey to the West, and he did a movie called The Mermaid in 2016. Did we do that? No, we didn't do his. We did
Mermaid. What was it?
It wasn't Mermaid. It was like something nymph, right? Or
is this the one with I may have seen this recently.
I don't know.
Mermaid.
It's called Splash with Daryl Hannah.
yeah, Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
No, this was 2 of them though. Maybe it's not.
Or maybe it was Splash 2.
Still splashing.
Still splashing.
Still splashing.
So yeah, it looks like Stephen Chow has an uncredited role in Journey to the West. So he doesn't star in it. He didn't direct it. So that's my guess is that's why it didn't come up. I do like Suey Hark though, who directed it. So this is something I would like to revisit. So let's continue to listen to the rest of Justin's voicemail.
Is for Raven Shadow.
So about
Everyone's always talking about Raven Shadow not having good material, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Raven Shadow, I gave you a golden joke to use, man. You never did.
Oh!
Very sad, man.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
My
man.
question for MZ. Monster Zero, we had a talk online. And in this talk, I asked, while listening to earlier episodes, what's the difference? And your reply was that we matured as a show. So I'm curious on where did you mature and what episode did it happen, because I think I missed it. And for Aries, not so much a question as much as a disappointment.
Oh, what?
DeWalt, man? Really? Have you guys don't get Snap-on tools there?
DeWalt.
What? Oh.
Aries is pissed. He's questioning his choice of tools.
He's gonna like pull Snap-on.
Snap
All right,
on.
let's continue and hear where he's going.
And Tiny, man, really miss Tiny. Anyways, I love the fucking show. You guys do an amazing job. You kick ass, and I can't wait to hear more. Thank you.
Yeah, we cry often too after the show ends.
Baby's
so.
like, shut off that crap.
Fuck this podcast.
Fuck this movie. Oh wait, I do have that. Where is that sound clip? So, do you guys have any other comments? To Justin?
I have no answer. I just assumed that we've been maturing over the years,
Well,
and
as a show, we've been maturing, but
as a personality, we haven't.
You haven't.
Oh, I haven't specifically.
Yeah. That's his
Specifically, I haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do better.
Stop this movie.
Dynamo shits his pants, and I'm the one who doesn't mature.
No, I think you have matured a little bit.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
That's better than not. I think we've all matured.
Yes.
I think we've all gotten.
As far as the show goes, yes.
Well, I think,
or maybe in life we have. I don't know.
I think we've all gotten better at just being, radio personalities, if you will. I think, especially because we used to. I've talked about this a lot recently online. I'm part of a couple podcast groups, and people are always looking for advice on what to do and things like that. And obviously, we've been doing it for over 6 years now, so I have a lot of, sort of in the trenches stories. And we used to edit the show back in the early days. I used to edit all the fucking pregnant pauses, the ums, the ahs, all that shit. And it would take me like 8 to 10 hours to edit a fucking episode. And I just, it was so much fucking work. And then at a point, and it was actually, I think we talked about this a little bit last time Bill was on, but Bill sort of helped to inspire me to stop editing, because he was doing Outside the Cinema Live, him and Mr. Chris, and they just record it and put it out. Don't edit a damn thing. He's like, your life will be so much better. He's like, I guarantee you. So we sort of play with it a little bit, and then we started to do like record live to tape, so to speak, where we would all be in studio and we'd do everything and then record it and then put it out that way. So we sort of did that, and then we just decided to take that next leap and go completely live, where we broadcast live. And I really think that, along the way, we started out with just, as he likes to talk about, just me and Mars, being the two people throughout the whole show. We did have you guys on as segments,
right.
And then eventually Tiny joined as like sort of the third, co-host, so to speak, where we do a segment with Raven Shadow, we do a segment with MZ. And then when we had the ability to have everybody in the same place, we did. You know, I know MZ still called in for a little bit, and then he ended up joining us in studio as well. And I personally think the show is way better for it. And, you know, maybe Justin...
Thank you.
Well, not just you. I just mean everyone being in the same
Fair.
place.
Oh, fine. If you want to take away, if you want to take away all the attributes that I've given to the show, fuck you.
I'm just saying. I meant everything. I'm not talking specifically about you. I just mean everything.
Oh, okay.
So that is part of it. But maybe Justin can chime in because he's probably the first person in a while, because I know Nicholas went back and listened to him, and other people have been listening since the beginning or
and he
near
hasn't
the
been
beginning.
the same since.
Yeah, but I wonder, Justin, do you feel a difference in the show growing? We're not looking for accolades or pat on the back. I just mean, like, has the show changed in your eyes, and if so, was it for the better? Because, you know, we started out just recording and then editing, and then it became more of sort of a live to tape, and then we just started doing live, and then I feel the energy is so much better when we do a live show because we have to be on a little bit, you know, and it just brings up the energy. We have people in the chat room hanging out talking, and you know, and just being in the same room, I just get the red lights on, so to speak, and you just get that sort of vibe of, you know, you got to sort of be on your game a little bit more, and I really think that the show benefits from it. So I'm hoping that comes across, and you know, and Justin is very qualified to speak on that because he's listened to all the episodes now recently. So,
and I think that was too when we were in the first Castle Wolfensteins when Aries joined the show.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And yeah, little by little. So even then, when we were still recording it to tape, there's definitely a transition from when we did go live on YouTube and having the chat room. I think, and to your point, it adds that element where, I mean, a lot of stuff that, you know, people seem to enjoy for some godforsaken reason was because of chat room comments.
Right. Chat room shenanigans, people being able to contribute, and people like having that platform. And like I said, tonight I wasn't able to read the chat room as much as I would have liked, but some days we have a lot going on in terms of, you know, we had 2 guests, and, you know, we talked about a movie that was a fairly in-depth conversation. So we can't always go to it, but it's nice to have. And I think, you know, even if we don't talk about it, I think people just enjoy sort of having someone else to talk to while they're listening. It's sort of that sort of communal vibe to it, which I hope is one of the things that people enjoy. First time Mike says, I've listened to a bunch of the older episodes and I enjoy the newer episodes better. So, and I would agree. Like, I think some of the older stuff is still fine, but I kind of cringe when I listen to the early episodes, you know?
Some of the sound quality. I mean, no fault of your own.
For me, that's what I mean, is mostly the quality of the sound.
But I mean, hell, when we first started, I did have the fucking, you know, flip phone.
Yeah, you had a fucking flip phone, yeah.
Which then graduated to having like a headset, which then graduated to having, you know, a big boy phone, then to being in a studio.
Yep. So, you know, there's been a lot of changes, and I would still like to do some more changes. Most of it will, you know, is money. You know, it takes money. I need a better computer to do some of the stuff that I want to do. So it's not something that's sort of pending. It's not going to be happening anytime soon. But, you know, I have sort of the next step or evolution, if you will, sort of in mind that I would like to try to do. But it's not something, I'm not in a rush to do it. But, you know, there could be some other elements that we could do with it. So, yeah, so thanks, Justin. I appreciate you calling in. It was, you know, it's always good to hear, you know, you get to hear our voices. The people who listen get to hear our voices. I just feel it's kind of a treat for us to hear your voices, you know, and to hear your thoughts. I know not everyone is comfortable sending them, but it's always awesome just to hear you guys. So, you know, I knew we had heard from Justin before. I couldn't recall, but yeah, like that was his first voice message. So hopefully it's not your last, Justin. It was awesome hearing from you, and certainly send us a voice message anytime you want. You're more than welcome to. So, all right. Now, our last voice message is from our boy, Nathan Cotton Coy Vance Duke.
Hello, Trick or Treat Radio. Please pardon my turn signal as it kind of clicks. But I had a couple of things for Michael Ravenshadow and for Monster Zero.
Yes. All right.
First off, Michael Ravenshadow, you asked last week what people think of the spontaneous hooting and hollering that sometimes happens when you see something exciting.
Oh, during the movie.
On the video screen.
Yes.
And no, it isn't professional, but do I like it? Yes.
There you go.
I like when I'm just you're having a conversation and one of you goes, I think that might actually be you. It definitely spices up the oral experience. Just the monkey noises that happen periodically. Also, I like how much trouble you got in just gyrating your hips last week. Made me think of week before maybe. When was it at this point? Who knows?
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Made me think of Elvis on the Ed Sullivan.
Me too. Me too.
They can't handle
They
your
can't.
raw sexuality, and I don't think you should be penalized for that. And Monster Zero, just a couple of things. You mentioned how much you'd like to write a continuation of Jason X, and just on an offhand kind of thing. I know you're not much for comics, but I do get the feeling if you were to wind up with them, you'd really enjoy Avatar Press's Jason X books. I'm not a big fan of any of their Friday the 13th stuff because it applies like a real sort of mean-spirited edge to them that isn't in any of the movies, and I think it's sort of an awkward fit, but I think you may really enjoy it. I think there are 2 or 3 different Jason X specific comic series or mini-series that they ran, so look into that or consider it if you have somebody who can give you comics or something. And lastly, okay, so who is better, Curly Joe or Joe Besser? And is there a good feature-length Three Stooges movie? And if there is, which is the best? I guess also while we're on the topic, I like the one they did like 6 years ago. Wow. I think it's funny. I think it's just Three Stooges stuff recycled by people who aren't the Three Stooges. So I'd like your take on that one as well. I want to hear all about the Three Stooges from you right now. Anyway, I will talk to you guys again real soon. Have a good show. Goodbye.
Thank you, Nathan Cottonboy Vance Duke. Ravenshaw, you feel fucking...
I am fucking vindicated.
Vindicated, yeah. That's what I mean.
I was thinking the same thing. I was in the fucking bath the other day.
You were in the bath thinking about yourself gyrating your hips.
Well, no, it's the effect that it has in the community.
That's an interesting bath.
Well, you should have been there.
Can you imagine laying in the bath, gyrating his hips?
Yeah, he's like, remember that time I gyrated my hips?
The dog was scared. He didn't like that.
His eyes are closed. He's got a cigarette in his mouth.
Yeah, I'm a fucking grown-up. It was after 12, and it was fine.
You're barely grown up.
I'm rounding up. But no, yeah, they can't handle it. Nathan, Cotton, Cody, Vance, Duke. There's too much raw sexuality.
You a raw dog in the fucking table.
41 is the new 21. I am so virile right now. It's unbelievable.
The difference is he was just moving his hips. You were humping the table.
No, I was. I know it's been a long time for you, for you, Aries, too. I know you did it at least once. But
I never humped the table.
No, I mean the act of coitus. But
did the table get pregnant?
You need to fucking see more home ec videos, man. I'm telling you. Like, no, it's just raw. I'm just so fucking...
Raw sexuality, that's it.
It's fucking... I am like fucking Lorenzo Lamas.
Oh, Jesus.
You're Lorenzo Lama.
Thank you, Nathan. You should come up here. We should hang out.
By the way, Lorenzo Lamas is a fucking douchebag now.
Is he really?
Big time Republican douchebag.
Really?
Yeah.
That sucks, man, because he was awesome on fucking Renegade.
Yeah, bravo on the timely reference there.
I fucking love Renegade,
well, luckily,
dude.
Shauna Sands left his ass.
Was she on the show, too? She was the
Playboy Playmate.
The blonde, right? Bobby 6 Kilo was my dude. Come on, listeners in the back. Renegade, right? Justin, I'm looking at you. Slaygoth. All right,
All right, MC, you had some questions. Do you remember them?
Yeah, my favorite
Curly
Three
Joe
Stooges,
or Joe Besser. Who do you like better?
Oh, Besser. Easy. Curly Joe Dorita was not funny in the slightest. Besser, even though he hated the idea of being hit in the face with pies, he absolutely refused to do it. He does get major marks for being pretty much the only stooge ever to fight back against Moe. He would, by that time, Moe and Larry stopped slapping each other around. And even though he never slapped Joe, he would, instead of hitting him, he would threaten him. I'll gouge your eyes out or something like that. And he goes, and Besser will be like, "Oh, get away from me, you crazy!" I can't do a good Joe Besser.
What would Larry Fine say?
What would Larry Fine? You're gonna put me on the spot now.
You fucking do it all the time. Damn it.
Yeah.
Cody wants some suit stuff. Do some Larry Fine.
Hey, shut up, you.
Thank you.
That's awful. So Besser would always retaliate against Moe by standing up to him. He was really the only one who did it. Curly Joe Dorita was just simply not funny. And by that time, they were at the end of their rope, and that's when they started doing the cartoons and the live-action shows, and their final movie back in 1970 called Kook's Tour, which you have to see this to believe it. I have it at home. It's one of the most boring, unfunny,
that's too bad,
worst films I've ever seen, and it's not because they're old. That they're not slapping each other around and that it's not funny. It's just poorly written.
So let me ask you something about that now. Did the stuff they do, was it like improv, or did they just was there a script, so they just kind of go and knew what they had to do and
The
just
only
fuck
one
around?
who really had any free range on improv was Curly.
Really?
Yeah, because he would, the whole, how like he would like chomp his teeth, no, like that, and you'd hear the clanking.
Yeah.
That a lot of that was just improv.
Okay.
Because sometimes what would happen is that he would, in the script, he would forget what he would have to say. And instead of just letting, taking a second cut, a second take or whatever, he would just start chomping his teeth.
Okay.
And it was funny and it worked, and they stuck with it.
Okay.
Now, what was the other question?
The best feature-length movie.
Okay. Well, there are two movies about the Stooges. There was a 2010 made-for-TV version that came out, and it had the guy Michael Chiklis played Curly.
Yeah.
And they had damn it, I can't remember his name, but he's the voice of the Crypt Keeper.
Oh, Casa.
John
Kassir.
Kassir.
Yeah.
John Kassir. He did Shemp, and I got to talk to John Kassir about him playing Shemp, and that was pretty fun. It's an okay movie. It really showcased how poorly Columbia Pictures treated them.
Okay.
And Moe was basically really the only one who stood up for their rights, and Curly just blew through all his money, died of a stroke. Larry, he loved gambling with his money. He still had money, but he loved gambling it all away. He was married for a number of years, a long time, to a woman named Mabel, who became an alcoholic and just used to treat him terribly.
King Mabel?
No, not King Mabel. And what really hurts in that movie is when they try to recreate some scenes from the show. They don't have the rights to the actual sound effects, so it doesn't really feel like a Stooges.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't really feel like the Stooges at all. When you don't have those sound effects, it doesn't work. That's what makes the 2012 movie so much fun.
You fucking love that movie.
I know.
I do.
You saw it in the theater.
I remember we were at
Yeah.
it was a Rocket Shock. It was a Deadite show. It was during that weekend.
Yeah, yeah.
And we were all like, and sorry, Johnny, but we figured that you would have seen. It was when Cabin in the Woods came out.
Your
to give
favorite
a time
movie.
frame. But no, it wasn't the day. But we were all like, did you see this? We were all talking about it. Those who
Okay.
saw it and liked it.
Yeah, yeah.
And we expected MZ to see that. He's like, no, but I saw the new fucking Three Stooges
That's
movie.
right, yeah. I remember he went and saw it like ahead of a couple things that were like, you went and saw that
Yeah,
instead
yeah.
of this and this?
Yeah, yes. And it was funny. I laughed.
I still haven't seen it, and I grew up on the Stooges because my dad loves them. You know, so I grew up on that stuff.
I laughed because they had the actual sound effects. They got the rights to the sound effects. And I think the guys who played Moe, Larry, and Curly were fantastic. I mean, anybody could play Curly, you know.
But Larry
Moe
Fine
and Larry were very, very special actors. And
he was the cat that's on, was on the Will and Grace show, I think.
Yeah.
He was good.
He played Larry.
Yeah.
And just fantastic. And it also has Kate Upton in it.
Yep.
Also has Sofia Vergara in it.
They look pretty good. I mean, I still haven't seen the movie, but they look pretty good.
Yeah, and
Sean Hayes, Chris
Diamantopoulos, yeah,
and Will Sasso.
Will Sasso's from Mad TV.
Yep.
And Hayes playing Larry was really interesting because he has his voice down pretty good.
As
he
good
really
as you?
does. It's really a lot of fun. You got to check it out. It's pretty funny.
It was actually on a couple of weeks ago on
Yeah.
one of the channels. I ended up getting sucked in for like 15, 20 minutes, and it was cool for what it was.
And Larry David played Sister Mary Mengele.
Oh my God! What the hell is going on in this picture?
I'm going to fucking church. I'll tell you that much.
That's the end of the movie right there. You'd have to watch the movie to understand that scene, which is cut out of the final flick, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I guess she was too sexy.
It's a fair point.
So this was a lot of fun, and also a sequel's coming out. So
Oh yeah, it was the Farrelly brothers that did it.
yeah, Farrelly Brothers did it.
Okay.
Yep. And sequel's coming out. The only thing that I hated about this movie was at the end they put up a disclaimer with two buff dudes who claim to be the Farrelly brothers.
Okay.
And they're like telling everybody, don't start hitting people over the head with hammers because this is a prop, you know. And they're showing like the hammer
that's
bends and
stupid.
things like that. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, I
In this
know
day and
today-
age, I guess maybe people have to, but that's just
yeah,
really
I mean,
People
I know,
eating fucking
I know
Tide
it's-
Pods.
Parents should be able to tell their kids.
Yeah,
like, hey,
I
this
mean,
is-
I know today's youth is pretty stupid, but goddamn, come on, give me a break. You don't have to go that far, really.
And they really had to get rights to sound effects.
Oh yeah,
Really?
Sam Raimi, when he uses the sound effects, he has to get rights from Columbia Pictures to get the sound effects when he uses them in the Evil Dead films. Well,
they're-
primarily Army of Darkness.
That's typically true of sound, like specific sound banks. Like
Yeah.
that's why, like, for instance, I don't know if you guys remember, Jim Smith from Teal released a sound bank for people to sample of like different synth sounds and beats and things like that. You can't just go ripping stuff off. I mean, music is slightly different, I guess, but if someone uses a sound effect that they created, they own that, or the studio
and
owns
it's
it.
specifically for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
You know, so
That's
they
why
have
they're
to buy the rights.
Like, for instance, a lot of the sound, I don't really play a ton of sound effects, but some of the sound effects that aren't like clips of our voices that I've played, like the slide whistle and stuff like that, that's stuff that I got off of a Creative Commons site that people put it up for anyone to use. So I get it from there so that I don't run into any issues.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
now, as far as the Stooges films that they put out back in the late 50s and early 60s, they're really mediocre at best.
Yeah.
Probably Have Rocket Will Travel. I think it might be their best one.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. I'm just seeing that on the guy who played Moe's filmography.
Mo?
It says Untitled Three Stooges sequel announced.
I'm warning you.
Did you know that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
said it.
Yeah, you said it.
Oh shit! Sorry.
But now that was one that was originally supposed to be like a crazy cast, like with Jim Carrey and Sean Penn.
They said like Benicio del Toro was going to play Moe, Sean Penn was going to play Larry, and Jim Carrey was going to play Curly. Just the budget alone on that is ridiculous for it not to happen.
It's interesting. So this Chris Diamantopoulos, how do you say his name?
Diamantopoulos.
Diamantopoulos. He does the voice of Green Arrow in a lot of animated stuff.
Diamantopoulos. What'd you say?
He does the voice of Green Arrow on a lot of DC animated stuff.
Nice.
So.
And his Mo is fantastic.
Wait, that was that guy's Mo?
Yeah, that guy, yeah.
What the fuck?
Fantastic.
That's not the same dude.
Yeah, it is.
Really?
He's a
good-looking guy.
He has the scowl down. He has his
Really?
voice. It's absolutely remarkable. Not to mention and now the most embarrassing thing these guys did was when they showed up on Monday Night Raw.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Oh God.
Oh really?
They were practically booed out of the arena.
They were promoting the film, obviously.
As the characters?
Yeah.
That's not good.
Well, except for Curly, who came out looking like Hulk Hogan.
Okay, that's probably not good.
All right, well let's wrap
they
things
got
up.
chokeslammed by Kane.
Who hasn't got chokeslammed by Kane?
Which is okay because Will Sasso's like 6'5".
Yeah.
Okay. He's huge.
All right, let's wrap things up. It's getting a little late here, so. And next week, I don't know. Hopefully, we can get here to do the live show on time. But just to let you guys know, we may be late if you're tuning in for the live show. So I would say maybe closer to 9:15 to 9:30, just because we're literally going to a screening and coming right to the studio right after. So depends on when the screening gets out, and it'll take us like 20-25 minutes to get back here. So I'll have everything ready to go so we can just start. But if you're watching the live show next week, just be aware that it probably will start a little late. All right, let's go around and say our goodbyes. MZ.
Arrivederci, douchebags.
Aries.
Goodbye.
Raven Shadow.
Live fast, love hard, die with your mask on.
Mars. Remember, children, wherever you go, there you are. Thanks, Mars.
Wow, that's nice.
Sounds just like him.
All right, everyone. So that is going to do it for episode 322 of Trick or Treat Radio. And big thanks to El Goro and Bill by Force. Everyone, support those dudes because they're really awesome dudes. So go listen to Talk Without Rhythm. Check out the 31 Days of Halloween that Goro does. It's on his podcast feed. And if you don't listen, if you don't have enough time to add another podcast to your rotation, Goro's 31 Days, they're typically like short, bite-sized episodes. He does one every day from like maybe 5 to 20 minutes long. So, I would pick out the movies you want to listen to if you don't want to do all of them, and just find a few and check it out. And then also, obviously, listen to Outside the Cinema. We've been talking to those guys forever, so you guys have probably listened to them anyways. And also check out Survival of the Film Freaks if it's anywhere near you. So that is going to do it. We'll be back next week. We're going to talk about Molly from Artsploitation Films, and we're also talk about The Ranger from playing at the Shawnee Shea Film Fest. We'll see you then.